what we do at BNC. So the prizes are for third place, which were the top 10, you get speedy buffet boarding. So you don't have to queue as long as the other people. You get to go to eat first for lunch tomorrow. That would make
Nothing is working.
all right, so that's third place, right? Cool. Then in second place, the second place winners also still win the third place. You just get a second prize on top, right? So it gets stacked. The second place, so the top three, which due to ties, we've rounded up to top 5. They get debate jokers. So one each, which means you'll get a little medal like this that you get to wear. And if ever you really wanted to say something, but we did not recognize you, you can use your joker to say, we will say something. All right, so you can jump in, for instance, if you didn't get picked for a statement once for the whole weekend, you get to use this. And then you return your medal, please. And then finally, the first prize overall will get those, but also candy from us, which is chocolate and stroopwafel. All right, do we have internet so we can show the podium? Do we just have to do it with like physical enthusiasm? All right. Yes, we will bridge the time with another fun announcement, which would be Gabriel and Grace. Would you like to say a word? Introduce yourselves as the ESPs of this weekend? Amazing. I'll come bring you the mic. Bring the mic. If it's on, does it say the number of the mic? Type mic. I can bring you mine. That might be fastest.
Is the Wi-Fi alive again?
Hi. Yeah, it's a small room. I'm Grace, and this is Gabriel, and the Network Complaints Mechanism, and we're here on behalf of the Safecore team. We're the event safety control of this meeting. Yeah. We're very excited to see you here, and yeah, you can come talk to us about anything, should you wish to do so. We're also here for a good chat, because we don't have anything to do.
Just like in every event, if you ever need it from us, we will be here. And also you'll be hearing from us again in a couple hours. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I see the slides are back. So Adriana, cue the slides. Okay, so this I already told you. So we can go to the next one directly. So we have a little podium. So first up, we'll announce the third place. Drum roll, please, everyone. So in third place, the winners of the speedy buffet boarding are EYP Bulgaria, EYP Finland, EYP Germany, EYP Luxembourg, EYP Poland, EYP Romania, EYP Serbia, EYP Slovenia, EYP Switzerland, and EYP UK. And they all scored 5 or more out of 9. So big round of applause for these 10. Are you excited? Oh, that's more like it. All right. In second place, we have, drum roll, the winners of the Joker, EYP Finland, EYP Germany, EYP Luxembourg, Romania, and Switzerland. Oh.
How does NLC classify this both in second?
You didn't listen.
It's because it's the top 10, the top 3, which were, some of them were tied, so top 5.
But then how does it work?
Because if you're in the top 10, if you're in the top 5, you're also in the top 10.
Don't get your medal.
All right, so everyone who is second place, please come grab a medal. Layla will bring it.
Then passing out medals.
Congrats to everyone in second place. Round of applause, please.
You see, governance is
Wow.
fun.
Congratulations. And grand prize in first place. Now, biggest drum roll of all, please. You might be Romania. It's 8,999. Isn't that a good reason to fill out all the forms?
Keep it in mind for next time.
All right, we are open to feedback on both the structure and the existence of such a game. So if you have opinions on this, please let us know. But if you liked it, we might play this again in 6 months. And on this note,
Oh, it's me. Oops. Okay. So we had our fun, but we are here to do business, whatever this business should be. And we then first start with the first agenda item by the governing body, proposed EYP, the recognition of EYP Belarus. GB, you have the floor. Do you have a mic?
Do I need a mic?
Yeah, you have one mic. You can go.
All right. So, first and foremost, hi from my side. To those of you who I have not said hi yet, I will. To those of you who I have not met yet, I will. I will get to you. I promise. I was a bit late here. In any event, in terms of these recognitions and recognitions, as you saw the agenda, there are quite a few because, well, time has come that things move forward or they don't whatsoever. That sounds ominous, but fact of the matter is, for example, for EYP Belarus, that they have not really been able to do a lot of events for the past 3 to 4 years, and certainly they were not able to do physical events in their country since the summer of 2020 because they have very strongly opposed the government at that point in time with what internationally was regarded as rigging the election. Now, in terms of this history, it's a very important piece of, I think, EYP history to know, and this is why it's very sad that we are doing this, de-recognizing EYP Belarus, but simply the conditions are here, that there is simply nothing. They do not have people, they do not have activities. It is a crime to be an EYPer in Belarus. So this is just the natural flow of time with them. Of course, this is done with consent, with their consent, and with communication with them about these matters. And they have also realized that there is no viable path forward at the moment, but hopefully in the future there will be one, albeit that will probably require a very different political and legal landscape in the country. That's it from the governing body side in terms of the overall.
Thank you, Ivo. We'll now open the floor to ANC who is wishing to deliver a statement. Okay. I don't think GB has anything else to say. Okay, then we move to a debate. Debates are structured as follows. Any rounds wish to be made general. Do we have any ANC willing to deliver a point of debate? Okay. Then if the GB has nothing else to say, we will then move on to.
There's also the formal request.
Is there a formal request? Oh yeah, is there?
There is. I can also present the formal request.
Yes,
for
please.
now. Because of the, well, what we have called the inspiring run of EYP Belarus, of standing up for EYP values, standing up for European values, and also trying hard to persevere. For example, they tried to also do some cross-NC events, I think back in 2021 or 2. We thought that it would be also fitting that the BNC also adopts, yes, a symbolic statement, but a statement nonetheless that says, that thanks them for their efforts and also emphasizes their very proud history, because honestly, this is probably the saddest, but also the most inspiring way that an NC is de-recognized because of all of what they have done as volunteers in 2020. So that's essentially
the statement. I mean, one of the things that BNC can do is to endorse a statement. The GB is proposing that we endorse this statement. The BNC expresses its thanks to EYP Belarus for the years of supporting EYP in Belarus and bringing many great volunteers to the community, which we warmly invite to stay active. Equally important, the BNC expresses its thanks to EYP Belarus for bravely standing up for EYP values, especially democracy, in the summer of 2020. I'd say we can vote both things together and block, which is something we can do, to ask you to vote two different things in one single vote. Then we'll call for a vote to both approve the derecognition of Belarus and endorse the statement. Since it's an NC derecognition, 2/3 majority is needed as per Charter Articles 3. Any NC abstaining? Any NC against? Oh, thank you. Then we will move to the second agenda item. We will then update the majorities because, of course, things do change. Although Belarus was a dormant NC, therefore it was not counted into the quorum for votings. Because as for the policy, they are compared to a candidate committee, if I'm not mistaken. What be Moldova derecognition? GB, please.
Yeah, again, a sad note. Fact of the matter is that with EYP Moldova initiative, there was a lot of hope for a long time, but this hope never materialized beyond the initiative stage. An initiative stage usually should not last this long. We also changed the policy in April, with you, of course, to say that staying for more than 2 years as an initiative shouldn't be tolerated, of course, because the point is to move up, to develop, to progress. And the governing body this year invested even more efforts, but the governing body was always very into helping EYP Moldova. There were a number of different meetings, email chains, communications, and all these different things. The advice that was given was not followed. The actions that should have happened have not materialized. And ultimately, there was also a lot of what we would call ghosting. So we came to a mutual conclusion with the EYP Moldova initiative that it would be the best to pull the plug for now. Of course, the very end of this topic of debate, much like of all the other derecognitions, emphasizes that people of such ethnicity, people of such nationality have a place in EYP, of course, and we also urge all of you, if you know any people who are EYPers from Moldova, to also let the door, open the doors for them in their NCs. The same goes for Belarus, the same goes for all the other ones, but I also want to urge specifically for Moldova at this point, because we have seen them probably at a few events, and it's a bit sad, but at the same time, they have not been even able to move forward with a legal entity. They have not been able to move with democratic elections, etc., etc. So the reasons are many. They are detailed on that single pager, and that's, I guess, it from my side for now.
Thank you to governing body. Any NC willing to deliver a statement? Okay, it's working. Yes. So we move to the debate, and NC willing to deliver a point of debate, which goes general. Okay. Then again, it's I mean, in this case, it's not NC, it was an initiative. The recognition still is a 2/3 majority. Then I will ask all NCs in favor to raise their placards. Any NC who abstain? Any NC against? Okay. Of course, when we say good in these instances, it's just because we made the thing. Of course, we're never happy when we have to say goodbye to someone, but we always wish that they will come back stronger in the future. Then we can move on to propose the recognition of EYP Hungary initiative. We have again GB podcast.
Well, again, everything is on a single page. Also, in that topic of debate, the reasons are summed up there. It's similar to Moldova in the sense of we tried a lot. We didn't get much in terms of communication, let alone in terms of, well, something else. They haven't really moved forward, and the time has come for them to reapply as an initiative for that second year. And then they decided not to. We were also very flexible in this communication and understanding also of the deadlines, but it simply has not materialized even past the summer. So ultimately, again, a mutual conclusion that it would be best to pull the plug. Very sad, of course. Some of you might have seen them at these BNC meetings, and indeed they have had a few delegations. A few NCs have been quite generous there. Thank you to those NCs. In terms of any other reasons, I don't think there are any other reasons that I have not summarized here, so I guess it's best to move forward.
Thank you, Igor. Any NC wishes to deliver a statement? Okay. As before, there are any rounds if we want to have it a general, any points of debate for this topic of debate. Okay, then as same as before, as initiative due recognition to the third majority needed, and NC in favor. Any NC abstaining? Any NC against? EYP Austria. Okay. Thank you. We have reached the two-thirds majority. Item 3 bis, the recognition EYP Malta initiative.
The last year recognition of the meeting agenda. So the situation with EYP Malta initiative is different. It is different because they have been recognized in December of last year. We have had a few meetings with them, and then we scheduled a meeting with them, they dropped that. We scheduled another meeting, they dropped that. Then there was a hiatus in communication, not because of our efforts. Our efforts were there every single month, trying these different ways and means. Emails, even WhatsApps, something we don't usually practice, that really hasn't materialized much. Then they said, oh, we will do an event. That event would have been a public discussion about abortion, which is a very relevant topic in Malta, as you probably know from some EYP session topics. And essentially, we approved that event, although we danced a limbo kind of. We were in a limbo because of the policy, but we still did approve that event. It was supposed to gather attention, gather people. We thought, okay, well, it's nice. Then they never really replied back on that. We thought the event happened. Fun fact, it did not. And we only learned about that. The GB associate Stefan learned about that through WhatsApp after God knows how many tries. So the big problem with EYP Malta, and this is not a mutual decision, this is us moving for their due recognition, is that they are completely incompliant, considering the fact that we do our best, we put our effort, they don't reciprocate even to respond. Then there are vague promises of doing better or doing things, and then there's nothing happening. Once again, they're also in compliance with the policies. They applied for an event to happen, then the event didn't happen. They didn't even communicate about the event to us. Their social media is still tied to the umbrella organization. We never really reviewed the statute of that umbrella organization vis-a-vis EYP or generally the whole statute. So the reasons are truly many, and it's very sad because we were very enthusiastic about the EYP Malta initiative, and I also know some other NCs were as well, and we're offering spots to them. Some were successful, some were not. Thanks also go to those NCs. They are detailed in the topic of debate on that page, and that's it. Sadly, Yeah, not many positive news now.
Thank you, Igor. Any NC willing to deliver a statement? Okay. Debate. Any NC willing to have a point of debate? Okay. Then again, the recognition, 2/3 majority. All those in favor? Any abstention? France. We also say it loud out of transparency to those who may be on top of them and don't see them. And then against. The topic of debate is approved. Then we move to agenda item 4, propose UAP Georgia dormancy governing body again.
Well, this is the last bit of bad news in terms of these NC status changes. However, UAP Georgia is not to be recognized. Fact of the matter is that there was a hiatus in activities already in, I think, late 2023. The governing body has been in periodical contact ever since with certain alumni, certain more prominent members. We have also talked with essentially all of the more experienced UAP Georgia alumni. What we gathered thus far is that the situation in the country is to an extent shaky, but they also do not have an executive board, and they have never really officially elected a supervisory board as well. So there's also an issue in terms of representation, beyond the fact that clearly they have not had activities. And I think also their domain is down, or at least for some periods of time it was down, at least based on how I have emailed some of those UAP Georgia emails. So it's a bit sad, but keep in mind dormancy does not mean the end. It just means asleep. Hopefully that means UAP Georgia wakes up stronger, or at least more enthusiastic, or with some people. The governing body's commitment, and I think I can also say the international office commitment, okay, I can say that, is that we will do our best to help them. But that, of course, also means that there is someone on the ground trying to build UAP Georgia again, because it's an NC of great history. It's an NC also that hosted an IS not that long ago.
2017.
Yeah, not that long ago. Yeah, it's very sad. Yes, but really the policy, sorry, the charter even says what are the conditions to go for it. And we also were very lax last time. We didn't opt for it because we had some contacts and communication, but now it's clear for everyone to do so. But our wish is, most fervent wish is to help them move forward. But for that, we will also need some of their input, and then we can also help out. But for now, this is the best choice. I do not know the situation on the ground very well, but we all read the news, so we know that there are considerations there as well. But I want to say these are not the reasons why we're moving for dormancy. The reasons are lack of activity. So that's it.
Thank you, Ivor. I will go and look up hiatus on the vocabulary after the debate. We will move on to statements. NNC willing to deliver a statement. Okay. Points of debate. Any wish to have a point of debate? We have EYP. If you don't need a microphone,
it's good that it was permitted conduct as a good investigation.
EYP France asks which is the process for a dormant NC to then come back as a fully recognized NC. Any other point that we may collect? Okay, then everybody.
Thank you very much for the question, France. In terms of the process is now detailed in the policy on recognition and dormancy as well, which is what we voted for. Well, you and we suggested you voted for last April. And essentially, now how it goes is that we are supposed to have communication with the dormant NC. At some point, okay, now it's working. at some point in time, activities are supposed to gear up. And of course, we are happy to support once there is, an impetus from the other side. And then we talk with them, then we work with them, much like what we are doing now with Lithuania. They are going to organize their first national session next year in a very, very long time. Well, not such a long time, but in a long time. And then they also are supposed to come again as a candidate committee. If the period is longer than a year, if the period is not longer than a year, then the governing body can decide and then suggest to just essentially wake up from that sleep. So the policy now adjusts this time based on how long you're dormant, because we perceive that there is a loss of institutional knowledge and a lot of good practice. Within a year, we think it can be bridged, hence why the policy says, okay, you're back in NC. But if it's longer, then it goes to the candidate committee stages and it goes with NC development, much like what Stefan and I are now doing with EYP Lithuania. And I can report that the process works very well with them. But that's also because of them themselves, not because of necessarily us or the policy as well.
Thank you to the governing body. If we don't have anything else, we move on to actually not voting, because as per Charter Article 6, there is no vote required. It's a decision by the governing body. However, it is still the right of the BNC, if there is a wish to do so, to overturn this decision by a formal request, which then be needed to be voted upon with a 2/3 majority. I don't think there will be this necessity. However, if you want to, I don't think there is by the end of the meeting, that has to be done. Then we'll move on to
Thank you. And now, luckily, we don't have to end on such a somber note. We actually get to move on to some more joyous topics, and that is the proposed final recognition of EYP Romania. So we will be moving to the proposing entity, which is the governing body again, for statements.
Good news. Thank you, BNC. We started very low, now we're building up. In terms of building up, I guess that's probably the best way to call the Romanian story. For those of you who do not know the story, I'm sure they will tell you all about it. So I will not summarize that. I will talk from the governing body perspective, from the policy perspective, what matters here. What matters here is that they are fully compliant. What matters here is that we also innovated the IO and the GB in terms of how we do this oversight. This means that the whole of IO also can and was able to directly report on any issues that they ever had in terms of working with EYP Romania. As you might know, the IO has worked a lot with EYP Romania in terms of NC project funds, but also most recently the Rebuild Ukraine land. So reviews are great from the IO. In terms of the governing body, we also see a lot of positivity, a lot of networking, a lot of delegations, a lot of officials, a lot of everyone everywhere.
all at once.
Yes, good movie, good movie. And in terms of of course, what we also see is a lot of passion and commitment for EYP values, for truly ensuring EYP Romania is compliant, contrary to what has happened before. If you want to know more, click on the annex on the TOD, very insightful. It sounds like a clickbait, but it's actually very insightful. So yeah, I'm also very personally happy to see this because I have seen the story since its beginning. And yeah, I think one last thing to say is the next slide.
Multitasking is not my strongest.
Yeah, of course, I did the same for Bulgaria. So I think it makes sense to also reference some of the good songs they have given us at Euro concerts. Final note, if they are recognized now, I think they would be the fastest developed NC in our history, but don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. But I think they will tell you much more now, so I'll shut up.
All right, thank you, Eva. We have the floor for statement.
Oh, they have it.
UIP Romania came prepared, so we'll take statements from them first, and then the floor is still open for other statements if anyone wishes to. Romania, you're recognized.
All right, thank you so much for this recognition. We might get emotional during this speech, so like bear with us. But this might seem 2 years, but actually this was a very, very long process for us. UIP Romania existed for a very, very long time. And this is not just my fight, Anna's fight, or our current board members' fight. It's a fight of generations of UIPers in Romania wanting a democratic, transparent, and a well-functioning NC that was youth-led and was powered by UIP values. My journey in this fight started in 2019 when I attended my first session as an official and then went abroad, and I saw that what was happening in Romania did not necessarily match what was happening home. So I decided that I wanted to continue and do something about it. And when I fully went on, it was after I had a leadership role in 2021. I started on the journey of many, many others that went before me, went to the GB, started reporting everything, trying to do my part, trying to tell as much possible as I knew. But unfortunately, exactly with what happened with the people before me, nothing much happened. And during this process, I think compared to other people as well, and similar to other people before in my position, I really lost hope in UIP, and I really lost hope that we could actually do something and bring UIP, the true one, in Romania. But we were lucky enough to have people around us that actually cared and went beyond their responsibilities to like help us. And this was a person that is kind of in the shadow. We never talked about it, but I think it's the moment to say about it. I really want to thank Nikita from the IO for actually going way beyond his responsibilities, hearing our story, and making sure something will happen this time. And if it wasn't for you and your dedication and your spirit, we and Anna would have never been here. We will not have this moment. So just thank you for making this happen and believing in us and making sure our voice was heard. However, like this wasn't just my fight, this wasn't just my Anna's fight. So ever since we kind of knew that this process was going to start, we grouped together a group of more than 20 people, and we started to plan our step-by-step towards the recognition. This was, I think, late 2020. Our recognition came actually as an initiative 2 years ago, but there were many, many meetings beforehand. We were discussing what would be the best path. And ever since, we never stopped growing. I want to thank all of the NCs who, first of all, welcomed us in your network, and despite our shady history, still came to our events, shared resources with us, and believed in us and our values. It was very, very, first of all, touching and also helpful for us to have so much support around us. And because of that support, we managed ever since to have over 800 participants at our events. We did 2 national sessions, 2 regionals, Rebuild Ukraine Lab, numerous outreach events and trainings. UIP Romania is not perfect, and we never claim to be perfect. However, we feel that now we are fully youth-led, and we want to get ever better, and we actually empower our members. Having over 200 active members, now the very important thing is we have 2 full fresh generations of UIP Romanians that never had interactions with the old NCs, and it only started with us. So they actually know and started with the true UIP. We strive to get better and ever grow, so this will not stop. Our process will not stop beyond this moment. I just want to say that my term will end in December, and I can fully say that this is a chapter closed for me. But this is not a chapter closed for UIP Romania, and I already have everything to start growing even more and to like become this super active NC, which we already are, but I know they'll push their limits and they'll bring even brighter future for us. And talking about the future, I think it's very important to pass the torch symbolically to the new generations as I step down, and to talk about the future and representing the future, I'll give it to Anna.
So as you might have noticed,
yeah, has been and still is, and even if the two of them are not, it's going to be a very important project for not only me and Stefan, but our entire memory base. To not get into the emotional side of it, because we're going to be here a long time. We've grown with it, we've learned from it. Again, not only the two of us, you're going to see us talk a lot about it, but this project has so many people behind it, and not only us, the board, but the entire memory base that came back from the old NC to us, and the new people that came with so much passion. And we've learned along the way. Bear with me, I'm so sorry. So take this recognition as a promise that the growth does not stop with us. It does not stop with me and Stefan. It does not stop with this term, and it does not stop with this generation here at Euromania. Just as you have watched us get to this point, we invite you to keep watching and to join us, whether it be at a session or any other way of collaboration. Trust that UAP Romania is here to stay.
Thank you, UAP Romania, for the statement and in that also all the hard work. If there are any other statements that wish to be made, this will be the time. If not, we will move on and go to the governing body. If there is anything that they would not like to respond, okay. In that case, for the first round of open debate, all of the rounds are general. So if there are any questions or points, this will be the time. I'll take that as a no, which means we'll be skipping all through these rounds. Governing, yeah.
Formal request as well.
Yeah, the presentation did not update. I can put it there.
The formal request is noted, the PowerPoint just doesn't want it.
Wait. Yes, I'm going to refresh. It is fine. Technologia. Oh, it was funny.
Yes. And there we have it. Since we've received the formal request, governing body, would you like to say anything as to the rationale for submitting this?
So there are those who do a lot of work. They have their names and surnames, of course. They mentioned a lot of the membership. It's bigger than the two of them, and it's yes, a symbolic statement, but nonetheless an important statement to make. To thank them for the work. To thank especially those who have seen EYP Romania before for trying to redevelop it, to fight for accountability and for our values, UAP values, European values, once again, democracy, inclusion, community, etc. And that's essentially the statement.
Thank you. We once again propose voting on this en bloc, which means we will not vote twice. We will simply group them. So if the final recognition of EYP Romania is approved, the statement will just also be approved together. So may I ask to see all NCs in favor? Nice to see you see a green. All right. Completely without wanting to manipulate any results, of course. May I see any abstentions? May I see any NCs against? All right, so as you might remember from the previous points, since this is an NC recognition, we need a 2/3 qualified majority, which I'm happy to announce we have achieved. So it's our pleasure to announce that EYP Romania has finally been fully recognized. Congratulations.
It's a trivia. What is this?
Your slide deck.
No, it was just fun too, because I think we have enough time, yeah. The BNCB consented to this. Don't trust them on this, your words. They know what this is.
Are we voting on it?
Are we endorsing this?
Are we voting?
I'm saying the BNCB consented to this
We
question.
can say what we don't understand. Do you want to hold a vote?
I don't know what you are chairing.
Yeah.
Do you? We have enough time, so we can.
Yeah, we have a lot of time. We don't need to vote. Do you want to do an informal vote? Yeah. On who it is?
So it is green for me, red for Leila, white for Nadia.
All right. Decide who is from this place. So you agree?
Green.
Red. Actually, wait. That's
We're clowns.
time for games. Okay. It's fun. We should do it more often.
That's commitment, you know?
Oh no. Has anyone counted actually?
We should do it. I think it's a more white than white, red, green.
Predominant. Yeah. Definitely not.
Okay, so
Okay, I think most people will vote it for me.
13 white, 6 green,
Eight.
also 8 red.
we have predominantly white, then 6 greens and 8 reds. And the answer is
Me.
this.
Both of you are wrong. All right. We only have 2 more things that are really quick, and then you can go back to break time. So the first one is, since there were some changes in NC status, you need to repeat the roll call to re-establish the necessary quorum for this meeting. All right, so it's the same procedure as earlier. So we'll call you all in alphabetical order. If you're present, say present. If you're representing someone by proxy, you say present by proxy. I think that's all you need to know. Yeah. So, starting with Albania. UAP Armenia. UAP Austria. UAP Azerbaijan. UAP Belarus. Oh, they're no longer in the list, huh?
I am still deleting, yes.
Okay, UAP Belgium. UAP Bosnia and Herzegovina. UAP Bulgaria. UAP Croatia. UAP Cyprus. UAP Czech Republic. UAP Finland. UAP France. UAP Georgia. Then UAP Germany. UAP Greece. UAP Ireland. UAP Italy. UAP Kosovo. UAP Latvia. UAP Lithuania. Not present. UAP Luxembourg. UAP the Netherlands. UAP North Macedonia. Not present. UAP Norway. UAP Poland, maybe Portugal, UAP Romania, UAP Serbia, UAP Slovakia, not present, UAP Slovenia,
Present.
UAP Spain, present, UAP Sweden, UAP Switzerland, UAP Turkey, UAP Ukraine, and UAP UK. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. We still have quorum for this meeting, which is good to see. All right, now, last thing before we go to break is an announcement from Sean.
Hi everyone, I'm Sean. There's a few things. Firstly, the mics. We're trying to avoid mic duty. So if you could, when you see someone being recognized and there's like maybe a mic in your section, if you can pass it along to the next person, it will save the legs and arms of our valued IO colleagues. That would be lovely. Another thing, if you didn't already get a goodie bag, there's more. So if you would like a goodie bag, please let us know. Another thing, you'll be getting your room keys at dinner time. Until then, don't stress, your luggage is secure and safe and will not be stolen. Oh, you see these little plastic pouches? Yeah. We would love those back. You can take the lanyard, this part. Please give us these back. We have had to buy them again. And they're, as you can see, quite plasticky, which is not great for the environment. So we really appreciate it if you get them back for a more sustainable BNCM 2601. Alles klar? Oh, and there's fruit at the back of the room if anyone is feeling peckish. And there's coffee break stuff outside from the last break. So if you would like some, guys, if you would like some Dutch breakfast, there's more food outside.
Since Sean mentioned it, I don't think we don't have yet, since we were asked about this, provisional dates for BNCM 2601. As soon as the IO managed to book everything, we will let you know. But at this time, we still do not know. That being said, you did not get 15 minutes more. It's still 30 minutes. So from now, please be back here at 3:30. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, no, yes. Okie dokie. So we will assume that you read the update booklet. We will give a couple of highlights and hope that if you have any questions, you will then ask them to us. What we did in our month as BNC board, I have a window. Okay, so we had the handover in June in Berlin, where there were me, Leila, Nadia, and Dan as outgoing BNCB, and Nico, however, wasn't able to join us. We started doing our things, planned a bit. The first thing we did was a summer online vote, which was successful, and we are very happy about it. And we wanted to compliment you for actually participating. We had almost 80% of the quorum, which is very nice. We would like to remind how important and useful are online votes, because when you see the agenda, online votes are very useful to take out from the agenda any very straightforward, maybe a bit technical or very small issues that are policy proposals, and then we can just approve them online without debating them here. What we do on a day-to-day basis, we have the BNC list. As a reminder, only governance-related emails are accepted by BNCs. The calls that go through the BNC list are those of events managed by the IO. For any other call, there is the BNC calls mailing list, which is managed by the IO. Zoom just died. I'm sorry. Now the Wi-Fi died. Great. And coordination with the GB and IO, we work on our drive. We have a very confused drive. We try to reorganize it a bit. I fixed the minutes that were missing from the previous term, and there should be, or will very soon be uploaded to the BNC, to the working members platform. What we usually do is also update materials regarding BNC on the platform. There will be a revamp of the platform. It's ongoing, so also our site will be a bit revamped. I don't know exactly when, but it's gonna be there and it's gonna be nice.
Okay, so then since no, well, we'll get there. Since August, we've been very busy with BNCM preparations. As you saw, we published all calls and materials, calls for proposals, publishing of the various booklets as per working procedure. Still nothing. Then since our manifestos were all centered around making international governance less formal, let's say, more participated, we decided to adopt a few methods and activities to make it a bit more fun. For example, we've been promoting BNC calls and deadlines through our new Instagram page, discovering our influencer era, and also the mini game, thank you, Nadia, was really helpful in ensuring a more fun environment. And we definitely saw an improvement on this. We're happy, I mean, we think you're enjoying it, and we appreciate that. Other than that, we would like also to touch upon the agenda setting poll. We only received 19 out of 32 responses. Sadly, this meant that we did not reach the 60% quorum. We were so close. We had 59.4%. So we're very confident we can get there next time. Exactly. Thank you. So we want to stress how important it is for you to participate in the agenda setting poll, especially because BNCs tend to have a very, very full agenda, and the agenda setting poll is a very important instrument to figure out where the interest lies among BNCs. Also, if we reach the quorum, we have a bit more of a discretion in eliminating agenda items that do not show particular interest or that many push to move to online vote. It's an amazing instrument. We love online vote. Then, based on the agenda setting code, we were able to configure the preliminary meeting agenda, also in collaboration with the GPL.io. And another novelty that we have already experienced is the formal request form. If it is your first BNCM previously, the formal requests were only sent through emails, and this sometimes meant a bit more lengthy processes, a bit less immediate recognition, because we are here doing a lot of multitasking. And with the formal request form, we are able to get a notification. With the email, it could get lost a bit, so now we see that it's working really well. Then we're finally back on Slack, so we have to manage the migration. A lot of work was done by the international office on that, so thank you so much. And UAP Bosnia as well, so thank you. And of course, creating the BNC channels. We have 4 for now, have announcements for all the logistics. The proposals update, if you see in the channel, we already have all the agenda items listed, and you can start or continue a discussion in the thread. Thank you for all the proposing entities that have already put some materials. Thank you, Saskia. Thank you. Saskia put a lot of materials about ISs. And then we have the workshops, of course, where now you can also find the link to the workshop allocation for all 3 slots. So the one today and the 2 tomorrow. And finally, the channel of Ask Anything, which I'm sure you can figure out what that is for. And that concludes our BNCM preparation.
Yes. Oh, yeah. All right. Then finally, since we are trying to improve many things about how the BNCM works, for instance, agendas have become fuller and fuller every year. So if you have ideas on how maybe this can be aided, we're open for feedback and ideas, and also the pilot phases for the formal request form or the meeting name or the social media. If you think, oh, this is really missing and we'd love to see this, we're really eager for feedback. So there'll be a form at the end of this weekend, but if you want to just come chat with us, verbal feedback is also very much welcomed. Then another thing we can say in Outlook is there'll be the winter online vote that we would like to start relatively soon as a follow-up to this meeting, because in the past the feedback has been given that if it's too long, questions that were discussed are not fresh in mind anymore. So if you do it sooner rather than later, so it hasn't been definitively scheduled, but probably December. Some proposals, including one of our own, have already kind of shown the intent to be presented there. So yeah, more about that soon. And then to go in detail into just the proposal to amend the working procedure for our own work for the BNC that you might have seen in the proposal booklet, but because we decided to table it, it was no longer in the meeting booklet. Is the suggestion to unify how NC status votes are scheduled. For context, in the past, this has often been a really mixed practice. Sometimes everything was done at the beginning, as we did today. Do you remember we did derecognitions and recognitions at the beginning? In the past, sometimes it's been mixed. Some stuff, it's like half and half. Recognitions in the beginning, derecognitions at the end, sometimes randomly middle of the meeting. Who knows? But we concluded that since the policy for the network on recognition and dormancy has been revamped and the process is now very clear, we don't see why the process at BNC itself should be unclear and inconsistent. And also because, of course, when someone is recognized and derecognized has an impact on the quorum and the majorities. We decided to propose just codifying. Everything is always at the beginning, and then it's done for the whole meeting, and it's just clear. So you will have the chance to vote on that too this winter, but obviously more on that another time. That concludes our updates, I believe. And we will be going on to the international office. Oh yeah, there are questions? I won't be answering on the mic who had how many points in the game, no. But if there are any questions that you just like want to ask personally, we're very much available for that. Also on Slack. Who will be taking the international office? All right. Then the orders.
Can you hear me? Yes. Great. Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Anne. I work for the IO. And I will be guiding you through the IO updates. You probably have also seen the document that was sent around with our updates. I promise these are a little bit more fun. And I will also ask my lovely IO team to come up and share some of these. We have a presentation as well. I will give Adriano a few more seconds to, to put it up. Not everyone from the IO can be here today. Some are in Malaga already, and some are on holidays. So rest assured that all of us are lovely people. I know you probably have received emails from us, and I promise we're not as scary as we might come across in these emails. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to approach us at any time during this weekend. On Sunday, our colleague Anya, the executive director of the EYP, will also be joining us. She can't be here today and tomorrow because of childcare duties, but she's very much looking forward to seeing all of you as well. And I'm her deputy, so I will do my best to sub for her. Okay, Adriano is making progress.
I need access to the presentation, though.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's coming. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, but maybe then first let me start. Do you know what the IO, what is our role in the network? What's our mission? I'm glad I'm giving this presentation then. It's totally normal to be confused by the different governance entities that we have on the network. We have the BNC, we have the BNC board, we have the governing body, and we have the international office. And we, as the international office, we're really here to support you and the whole network. We're the resource center of the network. So whenever you have a question where neither the BNC board or the GB can support you, you can come to us as well, because we work in an office, we're not volunteers, so we generally have a bit more capacities than all of these lovely people who are doing this for you in their free time. And our mission is to support you, but also to make sure that EYP speaks with one voice. So that's why we have Luca and Nikita here today. They are the people behind EYP Network. So shout out to both of you for doing it. And so whenever you see a post, it's the two of them who are behind it. And that's also one of our key roles in the office to coordinate with the GB, that we as a network can speak on certain topics and how we come across externally. And then we are also one of our roles is to support your NC development, and we do this through various tools. Most of you have maybe heard of the NC Project Fund. Hands up, who has heard of it? Okay, that's great. I'm happy. Yeah, so the NC Project Fund is our tool to channel funding that we manage to get to your NCs. Because what most of us in the office do is that we fundraise for you, because we know how difficult it is to get funding, and we do our best to once we get funding, to channel it to you. So the NC Project Fund is managed by my lovely colleague Nadia over there. She will also get up in a little bit. We normally have calls twice a year where you can apply. I believe some of you also applied for the call that we just opened, or rather that we just closed. And we will start the review process next week. And normally projects are selected by the GB and by the IO together. So there are selection panels, and we have very sort of transparent criteria when it comes to this. What we always try to ensure when selecting project is that we not only select NCs that have gotten funding beforehand, but that we want to spread the funding equally. And once the presentation is up, I'm also happy to give you sort of an overview of how we've allocated it across the network and across streams.
We're getting there.
Yes, amazing. Okay, great. Then yeah, let's start with some nice things. EYP numbers. This is how we normally explain EYP to externals. We are present in 40 countries. That means that, as you know, we don't have functioning initiatives or MCs in all of these 40 countries, but we have members or former members in 40 countries, which is a pretty impressive number, I would say. We reach almost 25,000 young people annually. We gather this number through the census that all of you are asked to fill in every year. Thank you so much for the work. I know it's very time consuming, but it gets us to this great number. So thank you. We engage around 7,000 active volunteers annually. That means people such as you, officials at events. That's also a pretty impressive number because it means that 7,000 people organize something for 25,000 people every year. And you all, it's really not the IO, we're only involved in sort of such a small, tiny fraction of events. You all organize 350 events per year, which is really, really impressive. Yeah, and you see little asterisks there in 2024. You even organized more than 450 events and reached around 3,700 participants and almost 8,000 active members. So we use the 25,000 sort of as an average across the years. And what I can definitely report is that we are bouncing back from the COVID drop. So that's really, really, really impressive. And next slide, please. I believe it's about the IO mission. No, the IO team. Who we are, what we do, and how to join us. Next slide. So I already asked you a little bit about the mission of the IO. As I said, we're really here to support the EYP network, to offer continuity and stability, to empower and support you and all of the international governance entities, and to support the network's overall development. So key areas of focus are bringing the network together, helping the EYP to communicate with one voice. Thanks, Nikita and Luca. Providing a framework and a platform for EYP's international governance structures. Shout out to EYP Bosnia for helping with that as well. And supporting the network's development and work. And we do that in various fashions, such as also supporting the HOs of international sessions, etc. As you know. Yeah, this is our team. Can I ask everyone who works for the IO to stand up and wave? Yes, look at these friendly faces. Don't you want to respond to those kids? There it is. So as you can see, Anya is the executive director of the EYP. I'm her deputy. Then we have 4 lovely ESC volunteers with us for a year. You also have the chance to join us as an ESC. I will get to that a little bit later. Kay, who did registration today, is our intern for the rest of the year. We have Iman as a project assistant, and then we have the project managers here. Connor and Michelle can't be here today, but all of the others will also present their work to you so that you know whom to turn to whenever you have a question. You can also always email info@eyp.org or email Anya or me, but maybe you want to contact the project managers, especially directly if you have a question. Next slide. We are currently looking for an intern to join us in spring. So if you go to eyp.org and go to the jobs page, you can see the call. Normally we accept interns where it's sort of a mandatory internship as part of your university degree, mainly because German labor law is crazy strict with all of this. So if you have something like that and you're interested in interning with us, why not take a look? And we will also open calls for new ESC volunteers in the spring. We normally have 2 people join us in August and September, and then 2 people join us in February. Yes. So depending on when you're, for instance, graduating from school and you want to spend a nice year in Berlin with us, why not consider it? But I would also encourage you to approach Luca and Sean and Julia and Bea if you're interested, just to hear what their experiences are. Next slide, please. The Schwarzkopf Foundation is our umbrella organization of the EYP. That means that the IO and the office door is actually the Schwarzkopf Foundation's door, not the IO, because we are a youth network that is hosted by the Schwarzkopf Foundation. And they also house Understanding Europe. Who knows Understanding Europe? I think most of you do, right? Sister network of EYP. But also Young Post-Migrant Alliances, which is a youth network mostly based in Germany, but they're Europeanizing now as well. And awards and events. So they are also the ones who award the Young European of the Year. Maybe you've seen it on our socials as well. The Schwarzkopf Foundation supports us with an office, IT, administration, fundraising, finances, a lot. So we're really, really grateful. That they're hosting us. Tomorrow, if any of you are joining the fundraising workshop, you will also meet Ilya. He's the fundraising manager of the Schwarzkopf Foundation. He's a former EYPer. He used to work on ISs with us, and now he does fundraising for the entire foundation. He's super experienced. So I would really recommend, if you're interested in improving your fundraising skills, to also have a chat with him. Currently, the Schwarzkopf Foundation is not in a good financial situation. More on this in my financial updates, but that just means that we're all really beefing up our fundraising efforts at the moment. I'm not sure if you're aware, but the Schwarzkopf Foundation also has a board that decides decisions, and the governing body also gets to send a board member to these. So we are making sure that EYP also has a say in this. And this year it's Vedat who's representing EYP in this. Next slide, please. Network-wide project. Find out what we've been working on. And for this, I will ask the PMs to come forward. Because Michelle is not here, I will quickly speak on the Rebuild Ukraine Ambassadors project. Can you still hear me? Yes? Okay. The Rebuild Ukraine Ambassadors. Who has heard of the project before? Okay, quite a few. We also have Sophia here, who is a current Rebuild Ukraine Ambassador. The Rebuild Ukraine Ambassadors, as then all of you know, are a group of young Europeans and Ukrainians who are coming together to think of ideas of how the country should be rebuilt that is also in a youth-friendly way, because youth are really not really integrated in this whole rebuilding process, and we want to give youth a platform to do so. So the Rebuild Ukraine Ambassadors went to Strasbourg in June to give a workshop at the European Youth Event. And over the summer, we selected a new cohort of 30 ambassadors. And we hosted the Rebuild Ukraine Lab in October in Brașov in Romania. And afterwards, some ambassadors took part in a study trip to Lviv to meet with organizations. And I joined both events, and I want to give a huge, huge thanks and shout out to EYP Romania and EYP Ukraine for managing this. It was, I think, my most emotional EYP event ever. And I'm really, really glad that we were able to pull this off. Yeah. Coming up, so we have these 30 ambassadors now. They just concluded the lab, and now they are working on a policy paper. This will be published in early 2026, and then they will continue to engage in advocacy, so they will spread the word about it, and they will meet with policymakers and so on to really make sure that youth visions are heard. Next slide, please. Alumni United. Alumni United is a project that I'm in charge of. It's funded by the E.ON Foundation. It's one of the longest standing partners that we have at EYP. And this project is really focused on beefing up our alumni network. So some of you have maybe seen or have applied to the alumni stream at the NC Project Fund. So this is part of this new project where we want to support you as well to work with alumni, because we see a lot of benefit of it, not only when it comes to institutional knowledge, but also when it comes to fundraising, because alumni are mostly people who are working already and maybe they want to give back to your NC and donate, and that could become a stable income for you, and they could be experts at your sessions and all of these cool things, and they love EYP, right? So why not do it? Yeah, but as part of this project, we're also hosting reunions for alumni. So these are really more social, formal get-togethers. So yeah, I will also be going to Malaga next week to organize a reunion there. Shout out to EYP Spain for helping us. We also have restarted alumni talk. So maybe some of you saw Bogdan speak at the alumni talk. On behalf of EYP Serbia, we had 3 Serbian alumni speak on the student movement there. So this is something we're restarting. Yeah, and we also just published the calls for the mentorship program. The mentorship program is a tool for you to talk with an experienced EYPer about any change that you might want to go through. Like, you don't know what you want to study, you don't know what you want to work in, you don't know if you want to go on, I don't know, Erasmus. And why not talk about it with someone who has done all of these things? So check out the email that Connor sent via the BNC list, I think 2 days ago. You can see the profiles of all the mentors that we have. They are all experienced EYPers and alumni, and they would love to have a chat with you and support you in this decision-making process. Yeah, next slide, please. Focus, Nadia.
Since we've been doing shows of hand, who has our focus project? That's not as many. Too bad, but maybe you've heard of other things or seen other things that were part of the focus project. It's a relatively big project that has other organizations as partners as well. We were with them because our target group is youth, and our other project partners have other target groups. But what we all want to do is raise awareness of fundamental rights in general, but also where they are ingrained, and that is the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union. We've done that through workshops, at different capacity building events. We've done that through expert exchanges and just generally thematic emphases at events. For example, the training academy had a bit of a focus or fundamental rights focus. That's been a joke for almost 2 years now. And then we also did a lot of social media work. You might have seen Cake host street interviews in The Hague on our social media. You might have seen Ivor answer questions about the Charter on our social media. It's still running until February 2026. And we also had it as part of our NC Project Fund, where a couple of you have hosted youth rights dialogues. We can move on. I think I'm also on the next slide. Oh, and then one of the bigger events that we had as part of the Focus project was a month ago in Berlin, the Youth Rights Vision Lab, where 10 participants came together to discuss the most pressing issues related to fundamental rights. And they're now working on putting them in words and putting them into a vision paper, which will be published in December this year. Next slide, please. The next project is also me. We're super happy to have found a partner in the Ipsos Foundation, which enables us to put some money into integrating refugees in our EYP events. And the way this project is set up is basically 3 pillars. which is the mentorship program you've heard about, which has now 2 different pillars, which is the classic mentorship, like it's just a career mentorship that you know, and then also more of a bigger, it can also be career, but it can also be more of a buddy system for young refugees who've arrived in a new country and might want some guidance. Currently, the call for mentees is open, so please feel also free to share it. If you work with refugee organizations, if you know of anyone, feel free to share it. We want to find as many mentees as possible, so give them the chance to join the program. We also had a stream in the BNC Project Fund. Applications are closed, but as Anna said, we're looking at the applications next week and we'll do the selection and you will hear of us very, very soon. And then we'll have refugee delegations at international sessions as well. We had 5, I think, refugees in Turku already. We will have 5 more people in Malaga as well. That's it.
Yeah. Sorry for making so much noise earlier. I'm just answering any call today because I'm afraid that it's urgent. But this is not about international sessions yet. Can you hear me without the microphone? Okay, sorry, then I would prefer not to use it if that's okay. I talk with my hands. So for all of you who don't know me, I'm Saskia. I'm also one of the project managers and I work mostly on international sessions, but also on a few other projects, mostly if they tie into the international sessions. And one of them was this project that we did with Insurance Europe. I'm not sure if all of you heard about it, but it basically was from, I see some nods. It was from July 2024 until June 2025. And we did a few things with them, and it was all around insurance and pensions, and kind of also, because it's not a topic that's very attractive to young people, so engaging young people with it. And basically what we did is on the one hand, we developed a survey that we spread, and there was also prize money to be won. And I think some of you also won it, not you, but you are peers. And also had 2 topics, one at the Saloniki International Session and one at the Hague International Session. And taking the findings from both of these international sessions together with João Silva, who then acted as a facilitator, to create it into one publication. And we also took input from an institutional event organized by Insurance Europe, where we also were able to meet, for example, with people from the Commission, DG EMPL, as well as like Occupational Pensions Authority. It's very exciting after you get interested in it. And we were able to present it at their annual conference in June 2025, where we also invited 50 young people, also some EY peers were there, all covered by Insurance Europe. And there it was very nice. They got to present basically the results of the paper for all industry professionals. So like a room full of people that actually work with insurance and pensions. And they were really interested, and we got a lot of positive feedback that they really thought it was very nice, interesting. So this is also one of the ways in which I think EYP would like to have that integration with the outside world, kind of break the bubble. And yeah, basically, like it says, it was mentioned in a lot of press, like we were able to get quite a lot of traction, and we also have a few follow-up events now, like a few panels that will happen after, to even further spread the results. Yeah, I think next slide. And then another project that I'm very involved in is the Young European Security Conference project. So it is a conference in itself, but it's also a broader project. And some of you might have also seen it because it's also part of the NC Project Fund relating to security. And it's also at international sessions. So at every international session from 2024 to 2027, there will be a topic related to security. And also between the years 2024 and 2027, every year there will be around 5 NCs that are asked to kind of include a topic on security. I think this is not a harm because the topic of security, I think, is very relevant, and it's felt so, especially by young people who are now growing up in society that doesn't feel safe as much as it used to. And what is now kind of the hook for this is that we have the Young European Security Conference. That's the actual conference, which takes place also once a year. It took place in February, and it will again take place in February this year, 26 and 27. And it's an opportunity where you could basically send delegates, or you could just more so promote the call within your network. It's open to anyone to join, but it's more so aged for people that are aged a bit more in university. So also if you get any applications from people that are like, oh, I'm already studying, but I would really love to
still join EYP, like this would be a great opportunity to forward to them. There's funding available for everyone who comes outside of Berlin. So it also is like a very accessible opportunity, and it's only 2 days. So the call for participants is already out until the end of November, and then there's a call for facilitators, which also comes with a small honorarium attached to it. So you even get paid to be a chairperson. And that one, the call for that goes out on the 31st of October and also will end at the end of November. You can find all information on our website. I think that's it. Oh.
My name is Amadou. I work on EYP's governance, you all, and this together for Arctic Futures, which is a project connecting European youth and Arctic youth. So in this project, we work together with a bunch of different organizations, such as WWF, but also the Arctic Mayors Forum, the Arctic Youth Network, and Tromsø municipality, that's a city in northern Norway, or who doesn't know where that is. So we're working with a bunch of people from all across the Arctic, and then we are the Europeans that want to connect with them, because we actually have a bit of the Arctic here in Europe. As part of this project, we host Arctic delegations at different EYP events, such as the Media Academy, the Training Academy, but also Summer Academy, which you'll hear more about later. But also this summer at Turku International Session. Actually, Luna, who is here now, she was there as well as a delegate. And also as part of this project, we have a workshop tomorrow about the Arctic and about connecting the Arctic in Europe. So please, if you are assigned that workshop, please show up. It would be great. I promise you it's super interesting. The Arctic region is really cool and great. And one of the biggest events we have in this project is the yearly Arctic Youth Dialogue, which is connected to the EU's Arctic Forum. So it's directly together with the European Commission. And it's kind of like a mini EYP session with 32 youth from across Europe and the Arctic. This also includes like Canada, Alaska, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland. So like super broad. And then they create policy recommendations that are then presented to the European Commission and different policymakers across the Arctic. So if you're interested in a little bit more advocacy and if you're interested in sustainability and the climate, then this is definitely an event for you. It's also fully funded. Next year, it will be in September in Brussels. The calls will go out in January, probably. Yeah, please apply. I have some spots for EYPers. It would be lovely to see lots of applications from EYPers. Last year we had 2 alumni join, so a bit older EYPers, but it's also very suitable for active EYPers. Yeah, and if you want to hear more about the Arctic, come talk to me or go talk to Luna, who lives in the Arctic. It's very cool. Yeah, I think that's it. Next slide. International session.
Hello, it's still okay if I don't use a microphone? Okay, sorry, just want to make sure. Yeah, maybe I start slowly going lower and lower. International sessions. So basically, I'm very excited also that tomorrow, or actually it already started, the Malaga International Session. So first, maybe we can do a quick round because I think it's a very special occasion that we're able to kind of enjoy it together, even though sadly you guys will not all get to go. Sorry. That's too much directness. I don't think it's that good. But this is also one of the first years in a long time that we've had 3 international sessions that are full size, not COVID size. And I think that's also really a big achievement, like Anne also mentioned, kind of bouncing back. So I'm very, very excited for that. Last BNC, The Hague had already happened, so we won't talk about The Hague, but it's still in my heart and very appreciated. But now let's talk about the most relevant ones because we're also limited on time. So Turku took place in Finland from the 19th to the 27th of July. Also, we can do a quick round of jazz hands. I see a lot of merch wrapping as well, and I have to say, I think it was a really nice session. The theme was piecing together, innovating, reflecting, and connecting, kind of thinking about the 30-year anniversary of Finland joining the EU. And it overall had a very reflective energy. So it really made, I think, a good use of the theme in a less direct way by also, for example, having a lot of breaks in the program, really allowing for reflection, allowing the teams to be quite free to innovate in the ways that they want, the officials teams. And it was, I think, in general, very well received, and the organizing team and the MC did a really good job. So I'm very happy about that. The funding came from Erasmus Plus, also a significant chunk from the International Office, and also other national contributors. And I think this was already mentioned, but there was also IO projects like the With Refugees in the Arctic, which were involved here. And then what is happening actually already is Malaga. It's super exciting. The theme is Uniting Shores Through Changing Tides. It's all about Mediterranean cooperation. It's focusing on innovation as well as legacy and connecting youth. These are the three pillars that the topics are based on. This session also received Erasmus Plus funding, and it has a really strong ties with a lot of local institutions, and the budget is fully covered. There's a lot of different consulates and embassies joining, so it's very partner-heavy session, I would say, with often more than one expert per committee. So you can imagine that for some, it was a lot of work to get all of that together. And Malaga will also take place in the framework of several of the projects we have, including, again, the With Refugees project. Also, there is an Arctic delegate that will be there, and also some other more funding stream-related partnerships like the Young Security one that I mentioned earlier. And since it is ongoing, I cannot yet see how it goes. So far, I've heard all good things, but please keep an eye out. Thank you, Ivor. Please keep an eye out, because I know that like having the network watch and kind of enjoy it really does mean a lot to the people that are behind the international session, and it feels really encouraging and supportive. So please also check in on the delegates that you sent. That's also appreciated. Two requests from my side, and please check out the website and the Instagram. And sorry, I will be faster for the next one, so I'm taking too long. Pordenone will take place in March, 24th to the 29th of March, 2026. Their theme is Herbs ad Mensuram Hominis, redesigning cities to fit human needs. So it's all about rurality and cities and kind of how that connects. The venues and the accommodation have been confirmed. There's a very nice update since the creating of this slide that they have also now gotten the grant 20K, which is then also confirmed. So also shout out. The team is working super hard, and like I put here, there's over 250K in applications pending currently. So there's a lot of money in the air. And due to the fact that there's no funding secured right now, or that there is not enough funding secured right now, the session is currently aiming to have a minimum budget. So just for full transparency's sake to you, that you can also expect, like, it probably will not be huge numbers of delegates that we will be able to host. In other more exciting news, the leadership call was recently released. So if you or any of your friends or members are interested, do check out the call, and the call for officials will follow later in November. Then we will move on to the IF in the Fusion IF. This is not an international session, but it is an international forum. It's good to keep the two separate. The differences are quite minute, but it has a lot to do with the size and with also, to some extent, the policy applications, as well as the fact that there's a smaller cooperation in a way, but there is still support from the International Office going to EYP Serbia, mainly in the fundraising department. We have over 100K in applications pending for the IF, which is quite a lot given the size of the budget. It will take place both in Niš and Novi Sad, with the movement between the cities during the session. So that's one logistical challenge. And the HOs have gotten a core team, and they're currently working on securing the venues and accommodations in both cities. So I think it's now a work in progress, and they basically got selected just before the summer. So it's in the early stages. And then last, very recent news, very exciting. Where are you? Paul, the star of the show. Paul, together with Fritz, are the HOs of the Frankfurt International Session, which will take place in summer 2027. It's to take place in Frankfurt am Main, focusing, this is the theme that they have created so far. Like I said, it's very fresh, so there definitely will be changes. This might not be the final theme, but a vision for a resilient Europe. So a lot focused on, I almost feel weird explaining this when Paul is right there, but a lot focused on the changing global tide, so to say, and what we can also do to move along with them and also operate in a global world. I hope I did it justice. We will have a first preparation meeting in January 2026. So this will be, sort of say, a bigger launch, but the HOs and also the NOC have already done a lot of work with getting in touch with important actors like the municipality, also previous sponsors, and also desired accommodation and venues. So it definitely has a lot of work has gone in already. And then I think this is my last slide, which is that the call for the next international session, which would take place in autumn 2027, is open. So I really warmly encourage you to consider if you would want to take this on as your national committee. I'm still here tonight, so please reach out with any questions you may have. If you're looking more into the future, the call for 2028 would only be launched in March. So there's a bit of a winter break, so to say, as the ISs themselves also have. If you have any questions about the international sessions that have passed or are happening already, you can also contact me. I'm still here until around about dinner, so I'm really happy to talk to all of you then. I think that's it.
I'm so excited to know that I don't have to use a microphone. Capacity building events. What are they? They are our network training events and also a chance for us to give back to you, our lovely network. Next slide, please. What's taken place this year, what's not on this slide is Media Academy, because we had covered that in the last BNC meeting, but still a shout out to EYP Slovenia, who hosted Media Academy in March this year. Then we, as the international office, hosted the training academy in Berlin in mid-June this year. Our lovely head training Bill is here with us. We had 24 participants, and as I said before, this was under the theme of the Focus Project on Fundamental Rights. So we had an alumna who works at the Fundamental Rights Agency join us and also host a module, which seemed to have been a very nice part of the event. Then we hosted Summer Academy, or EYP Poland, shout out, hosted Summer Academy in August with head organizer Ilya and head trainer Joshua, our last ESC. Rowan Palmer was our editor. We had 70 people in Poznan. We had mostly lovely weather, a beautiful city, and lots of fun. We received very positive feedback about Summer Academy, which we're very happy about. And next slide. This is a photo of Summer Academy. And then the next slide is what we wanted to focus on this year for Summer Academy was knowledge transfer, because that's often something that trainers put a lot of work, of course, in their modules, but then the transfer of knowledge to after Summer Academy, but also from board to board, is something that falls under the table, as we say in Germany. That's why we created the onboarding pass. I will go into more detail if you are at my workshop tomorrow about Summer Academy, but that's basically a way for those who didn't attend, but also those who did attend, to read up on the modules that we gave or the trainers gave. You can find it on the members platform in PDF format as a whole thing, but it will also be split up in chapters concerning focus areas. Like if you're only interested in finance related things, you can find it on finance resources as well. I'll talk more about it tomorrow. Next year, we have exciting stuff coming up. For example, the President's Meeting, which will be hosted by the Czech Republic. With head trainer Sophie Victoria Ebbs and co-head facilitators, our very own Nadia and Matej Bojic from EYP Serbia. You can sign up right now until 2nd of November. Please do, even if you're not coming, that would also be great to know. But of course, please come. Prague is also very beautiful. NSP training, I'm actually not in charge of. Anna, do you want to say something?
It will be in Greece. Distributed through the beauty list and on Instagram.
And then a summer academy, also relatively fresh news, will be hosted by UAP Bulgaria. And takes place in Saints Constantine and Helen, which excitingly has a beach. And water. Head organizers are Mariela Raglova and Joanna Georgieva. In fact, due to the financial situation that Anna has mentioned, we have no other events planned as of now, but we are aiming to also host a training academy and a media academy because that's what we try to do yearly, but is dependent on fundraising efforts still. Next slide, please. Not me.
Hello. I will keep this snappy. Next slide, please. There's not a lot of comms update that we write here because the nature of communications work involves usually supporting other projects and communicating what they do. And we won't be plugging social media because we know the room here, all of you know that we were present on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook still. It works. And TikTok, and we follow each other. We co-post a lot of times. So of course that's been going on. Also, a lot of comms updates that we would share now is going to happen until the end of the year, and we will be sharing that with you in your BNC list emails and on Slack now. So keep an eye out. But what we do want to tell you about is that we've been doing this process of onboarding some of you that need a new updated website to the UIP.org website format. And in the second round of updates, we've been working with UIP UK, Spain, Romania, Portugal, Luxembourg, and Latvia. So some of them are already live, some of them will be live. There was also 4 NCs in the first round. I don't remember who they are to list them right now. But what I'm trying to say is that this has been an ongoing process, which is great. The style guide update is almost final. Those of you with a keen eye might have noticed that this presentation template even looks slightly different from what you may have access to. And once we finalize this, we will also drop the new presentation template for you to use. Tomorrow, we will discuss the style guide as part of the TOD. So I'm excited to talk more about it then and save time now. New merchandise items. This has been a year of merch. It wasn't planned as such, but it worked out as such, which is great. There's a lot of new items that we have here. It's the new tote bags. You have your goodie bags in there. It's the new pens all the way to the right, or you can look at it. I'm sure you have it nearby. There's upcycled merchandise. We took a lot of our old banners and flyers and similar items and transformed them into little bags. We have the new International Session Archive book, which is a collection of stories from all the many 100 international sessions that have happened. And I don't know, maybe some of you remember during UIP 35, there was this sock product that was very popular, and we've heard your feedback, and the socks are coming back. We kept the design a secret for now, just so first we see it with our own eyes once it arrives. But once that happens, the socks will come back. Next slide, please. And if you want to purchase this merchandise, there was the store was sent to you. It's also here. You can scan the QR code. You can ask us about its availability. At some point, we'll have them for show here, and we'll stand there. You can approach us, ask us for the availability, purchase any merch item that you want, then kind of be like, look, confirmation, and then we'll give it to you. And before I conclude, it's just a lot of the updates that we do in comms is us trying to kind of think what we can do to make your communications life easier as well. And although I think, if I do say so myself, we're good at realizing where you need your support, I think first and foremost, you're the best at telling us where you need support in communications. So, for example, the presentation template and the social media templates is something that was not on our agenda until enough NCs were like, yo, this would be really cool. And then we were like, absolutely, here it is. So if there's new communications, materials, templates, anything at all that you think would be useful, shoot us a message and we'll be happy to get to it. That's it for me. Who's the members platform?
Yes. Okay. Next slide. This has been my big project. After the last BNC meeting, you guys pointed out it was bad. We have restructured the EYP wiki. Big thanks to Joshua, my previous BNC volunteer, and Francesca, my intern, who actually did most of this. It should now be much more intuitive in the structure. Not all pages and their entire contents have been updated yet. That is because, especially in the section NC board resources, there is so many pages with so many different things that I have not had the time to go through all of these documents. But hopefully we are now on a roll and we will try to update them as we go along. Next.
Yes.
So what is new though, is that we have guides and training materials for chairs, media, organizing, jury, team. So if you are a non-NC board member, the EYP Wiki is now also a great place to be because you can just click on all of these things and go through stuff yourself before you get to the session or before your president sends you something. We also have a section called How to Get Started in EYP, which you can also show at your like regionals. It has a little guide of like, become a member of your NC, sign up to the members platform, apply to something. Here you can find trainings. So that's also a resource for you to share with other people. It should be more up to date, mostly. Do let us know if there's a link not working, because there's like a million links, so I might have missed one. And then the NC resources and capacity building sections are the two that are still being updated. But also, if you have any resources that are great from your NC, do send them our way. We're happy to also host them. I know that a lot of you have big board drives with big guides and big how-tos, etc. And if you notice something is missing and you would like to share it with the network, please send it to us. It would be great if this is more of a collaborative space than just us sending you stuff, because you have much more than we have. I think that's it. But help us build a better wiki. Yeah.
Thanks, Andrew. Okay, quickly on the developers team. As you probably all know, Nico Yannis is the lead developer at the moment, and they have selected 6 other volunteers to help, and the team has now started working on it. The developers team will be meeting in Berlin in 4 weeks to really kickstart their work, and more details in the GB updates. Thanks, Vedat. Next slide. I'm speeding up a little. Upcoming events. Have you heard of the IO events calendar? You can find it on the members platform. It's really helpful if you are unsure of what kind of international events are going on. Next slide. Finally, some reminders. Governing body elections. The call for candidates is open. Any former governing body member I've talked to said that their time on the GB was the most how would I say this? The time where they learned most in EYP. And I think you all know how much you can learn in EYP. Maybe Vedat and Ivo can speak to this during the coffee break. But if you're passionate about EYP, if you want to improve our network, why not consider running for it? Enough. Yes, exactly. So call for candidates open, and then the voting period will also start. And there will be a town hall on November 11th that we would encourage you to join, and also to spread the message to your members, because we love democracy at EYP. Next slide. Yeah, okay, this is not governing body elections, but more leadership calls. Pordenone leadership calls are open, as Saskia said. Call for trainers and ESPs for the NSP training. Register, those of you who are presiding your NC, for the president's meeting in February, not in March. And share the call for the Young European Security Conference, please. And why not host an IS? Next slide, please. The member survey. We have emailed most of you. We have DM'd your Instagram accounts. The member survey is a great tool for us to really understand what people gain from EYP. We're aiming to reach 1,000 responses this year. Help us. We're at 600 at the moment. So I believe in all of us to make it work. We have really cool incentives. You can win a travel reimbursement or even an Interrail pass if you fill in another survey. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. Next slide, please. A look ahead. Key projects for us are Alumni United, that I talked about, Focus and with Refugees that Nadia is working on, the Arctic project, Annelou, and Rebuild Ukraine ambassadors as well. Then we'll be having 2, for sure, flagship events next year. And just for you to know, because of everything that is going on, our office capacities might be slightly reduced compared to this year, because we're working on all of these projects as well. This was a lot of information, I know. Do you have any questions? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then let me. You mean the streams that we will be having? Yeah. So we will have an alumni stream again. I think we will be having a Europe stream, a democracy stream. Yeah, for only limited. Yeah. Yeah. It's also a workshop. Yeah. 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 Slovenia.
Yeah, so
yeah.
There was no update on the strategy project, which is there anything that would be
You mean the task force?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that may be helpful?
I think that it's better to ask the GB about it because we as the IO we're merely supporting it. So
we'll have it in the GG. Okay.
Yeah. Then EYP Romania, EYP Germany. Oh no, sorry, you had a second question. Okay.
Looking over budget, and because I'm super passionate about developing BNCs, I can see there was budgeted for 1,000 euros to go towards that, but they were not used. Keeping in mind, we still have quite a few developing BNCs. Why do you think this wasn't used, or like, will you plan to use it by the end of the year, or like, what's up with that budget money?
I will talk about the financial updates after this Q&A, so then I can talk a little bit about it. The thing is that for us, sometimes money for these kind of activities comes from project funding, and sometimes it comes from unrestricted income. And then we need to make sure that we meet the reporting requirements for this. So sometimes we plan in the beginning of the year that we anticipate we have the money to do this. And then towards the end of the year, it turns out that we don't. So it's by no means an intention to not spend that money if we have it, but sometimes it's a realization at the end of the year that some unrestricted income had to be spent on other things. EYP Germany.
One question and one question regarding financial update.
Yeah.
Which is, Saskia said earlier that the cost for the owner got affected. Did you already make an analysis of what potential mistakes were or what issues happened during the application for the grant, and can we make sure that this will not happen again in the future?
Yeah, I am happy to answer directly. So it's basically that the international agency is not really like projects that are more internationally focused, but it wants to have a lot more Italian on the scope, which made the international session not very fit, which is also now why we actually apply in more links with the regional national influence. But I don't think that this is actually always the case. We have agencies with different preferences, which is why I also always say, don't just ask mandates of all the entities, ask your national agency when you try to apply to us and stuff, because they all have to do. This is something we often do in the past during land, that this was the case in the national agency. We still wanted to try again, but we have other fundings that we are pursuing on the national level. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, and EYP Serbia, EYP Finland.
Well, also might be more of a question for Saskia.
Yeah.
I was wondering when it comes to obviously delegation sizes for that.
Yeah.
What can we get a little bit estimate
when will everyone kind of know about it? It helpful as a BNC meeting for it, but everyone else actually got some questions about it.
Yeah, it's a really good question actually. So I think we're following November called Malaga. One of the reasons for this is that for Pordenone, another Sunday is intended to come in October. So this will also give you a pitch on Pordenone, and the same is true actually for the Fusion IL. So this is the reason why we have a bit of delay. But we do intend to announce it well before the end of this year to let you know enough time to still adapt. I'll just stick to that for now.
Okay, you're.
Yeah, we can still ask, I guess. Not on this level of questions. Basically, we will not have a elected president until basically the end of the year, since our annual meeting is in December. How do we apply for the presidency still?
You can reserve a spot, basically. So you just let the IO know, who will pass it off to the facilitators, and then you should, once your GMA is running, let all of the candidates for the presidency know that ideally they are available on that weekend to travel to Prague, and really encourage them because it's a very beneficial event. So you can reserve spots.
The application form actually has an option for this, whether you already know or not, and then it will guide you.
And it's common, don't worry.
Yeah.
Like it happened last time, but.
Yeah.
EYP
Austria.
This is regarding the members platform. Thank you so much for your work on it. I don't know if anyone else has this issue, but I've noticed a lot from the network. We're all still complaining a lot on the speed of the members platform, and also not being able to search a lot of things. I don't know. Are you guys keeping this in mind? Who's Steve worked on?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe Vedat wants to
We'll have this in the developers updates in more detail, but we are aware of it. We identified the problem and it's getting fixed in November when we meet. But I'll explain the background of why it happened and where the mess up was. But TLDR, we identified the problem, we're fixed. And then it should all be very smooth. Hopefully.
Okay, last question from EYP and Vedat.
But not all of our board members are able to actually really attend events like the I remember we discussed this a little bit at the last meeting. The number was horrible, so I don't remember any solutions. The president made with it, but if the president is unable to does that mean that it or does that mean that no representation?
I understand your question. However, the president's meeting is really a space for presidents because, and I know that some of your NCs have a different composition, because the presidency is a different portfolio from a lot of other board members. So also based on feedback from previous presidents' meeting, we want to keep it that way. If you have specific questions on this, feel free to approach me or Nadia.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a quite heated debate last year.
Yeah.
You can check out the minutes if you want to refresh your memory. But still.
Leaving the recording there.
I mean, it was promised if like 30 seconds. You know? Okay, fine. Then I asked Anne to just give a very extremely quick, like one highlight of the financial update, because we'll be running a bit late. And then you can ask a couple of questions on them.
Yeah, I'm super sorry now to have to skip this. This is not because I don't want to talk to you about them, but merely because of time constraints. We will be sharing this presentation with you. Next time.
Yeah,
we have Slack, we have threads.
And a slide. Yeah, so just quickly for 2025, we're doing well. That's we fundraised almost as much, so I will not go into detail here. 2026, I think, is more interesting for you.
I mean, it's also in the financials updates booklet, so it's very detailed that the tables have that.
For budget 2026, we have a lower projected income and also lower projected expenses. So you see, we currently have a deficit of around 130,000. We're still waiting on many applications that have been submitted. We have around, I want to say, 800, 900,000 K in the pipeline. In general, how I can explain this is it's a global economic recession, and we are noticing, especially when we're fundraising for the NCs in the Western Balkans, Eastern Partnership, USAID, Trump administration, pulling out funding means that there's more competition for European funding, which means that sometimes our project applications, although I think they're great, they're not being selected for it.
I think there's a zero missing, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I wish not. Next slide. Yeah, so we sort of our income and how we're trying to stabilize the network is that we're trying to diversify it. We don't only want to get government funding, we want to get funding from foundations and from businesses as well to be able to sort of survive certain waves sort of in the economy better. So we are getting funding from new projects, from foundations. We have a lot of grant applications pending. And we're also in talks with several partners to continue partnerships. Yeah, and I think this number of 730 is slightly outdated because we submitted 2 more applications this week. So NC Project Fund, I think I will skip just in the interest of time, but yeah, just for you to know, we are quite happy that we were able to channel over 100,000 K to you over the last 4 years. The spike in 2024 is due to the European elections. We got some funding for it, but you can see sort of a small trend, which we're happy about. Yeah, and here you can see the streams that we've had.
The workshop we also share the presentation on Slack, so you also, those of you who will not attend the NC Project Fund workshop, will have the materials provided.
Yes.
Almost every single NC here in the room has received NC Project funding for the last 2 years. Very exciting. That's the first time this happens in this way.
Yeah, so great job for all of you on writing good applications. Okay, questions. EYP Germany, EYP Ukraine.
I have 2 questions. So first of all, in the update booklet, you listed the main sponsors, where you get the funding from, and you also already said that you have continuous talks with them to continue the partnership. Could you give us a quick insight of how sure these partnerships are? For example, if we have a continuous partnership with the EON Foundation, which I believe is a very big partner of the IO. Can you give insights on that? Secondly, I would also be interested, I'm not sure if you are allowed to share this, how much money we get from which sponsor. And what I would be specifically interested in is how high and how important is the number of highest participation fees that you get, especially considering the fact that we will have a debate about that tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, maybe as a general picture, most of the projects that we try to apply for are multi-annual because that's in our interest. It's better to get funding not for just 3 months or a one-off project, but for a longer time. So for instance, the EON Foundation is supporting us now for 3 years from summer 2025 until summer 2028 with 500,000 euros in total. So that's really good. A good chunk of our budget, and we're very happy to secure it. For EU funding, the most of the grants that we're applying for are also multi-annual, so around 24 months on it. And the talks about renewing partnerships are more for, like, for instance, regarding Insurance Europe. They supported us for a year, and now we just submitted a concept note 2 weeks ago, hoping that they would support us again in all of 2026. So we're trying to renew it as well, but when it comes to fundraising, you probably know this, you always need to pitch something new, right? So that also takes a bit of time to innovate a little bit, to think about something. Okay, now we did this project. What can we create that supports ongoing EYP activities, while also offering an added value for the sponsor, apart from what they've funded as well. So there we are quite confident that we're offering good sort of good pitches to partners, but this is also, especially when it comes to corporate funding, is something that we're trying out. So there I can't give you a percentage that, I don't know, 80% of this will be successful. I would rather say it's about 50-50. And the third part of your question was? It's quite important because we are able to channel the IS participation fees to the network as unrestricted income. So as you know, when we get EU grants, then we need to really spend the money on this. But IS participation fees, with that we can cover the BNC meeting, because the BNC meeting is something that is super difficult to fundraise for, because funders don't really get a lot of benefit out of this, even though it's super important. But when it comes to the big share of the budget, IS participation fees make around 10-15% of our annual budget. Yeah.
If I can also add to that a bit, we also have meeting related costs and also CAP costs that are often and also the digital summit, which also come from this kind of funding. And also we channel funding directly to the international sessions. So in 2025, we have 16K spread across the different international sessions. So of course you see the participation fee coming in and you see other funding coming out. But some, like, it's not all those that the participation fees don't only like stay in-house to meet projects, they also like extend on projects that really do benefit not only you as a network, but also international sessions.
EYP Romania.
I want to ask a clarification about the budget. So I see you budgeted and spent around 14K for guest programs. What are these exactly? I think it's like it's quite a large sum of money. I assume it's like the sponsors that come to the events and you accommodate for them. So like, yeah, exactly what does this kind of put together, as well as, because you said next year will be more people financially, for next year, are you planning on reducing that or keeping this or increasing it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So guest programs we offer alongside ISs for partners and funders and potential funders also to see EYP. And we love to invite them to ISs because we think they are the best examples of how great EYP is. And for that, we organize sort of a side program so that delegates and officials can still enjoy their session without feeling watched by externals. And the guests then join sort of certain elements of the program. And for that, we need some funding for it. In general, that means that with this money, we cover their meals and so on. Normally, we invite session leadership and the NC to join these meals as well, so that they get to meet this. So this is sort of the money that we spend there. Most of it, sort of, for instance, is also covered by project funding directly. So if we get a grant from someone, normally we can cover it with that project funding. Yeah. Yes.
And the question that, in your opinion, was the money that we're spending having good return? Are these guest programs actually able as helping us funding? Because if they do, sure, spend more than 15K. It's actually more. But do you think like it's actually helping a lot in our fundraising, especially for next year, since we have a big gap?
Yeah. That's a very good question. And I think Saskia can speak a little bit more on this, but I would say yes, because our funders, they keep supporting EYP, not because they read the reports that we write, but because they see EYP in action. And we need to offer them spaces to see EYP in action. So for instance, with the EON, we try to do it really strategically, that we invite partners before a project grant lapses so that they can see the IS, and then afterwards we initiate a talk about it. And I think there's a direct response from the GBs.
Follow up, yes. Canadians first-hand experience, this is my opinion, not the GB's opinion. No. That, as someone who attended The Hague, and I also attended a lot of the guest programs, I would say, in my opinion, it's worth it, because the guests, or the investors, sponsors, however you like to call them, partners, they do give our network quite a lot. And in return, they want to see UIP, they want to experience a session, and that guest for, of course, they won't join a committee directly, but they want to, I don't know, to join 2-3 hours of the agenda and then go for a walk through the city, grab some lunch, etc. So the trade-off, in my opinion, is worth it because they are giving us quite a lot, especially with the bigger funding. Like,
Yeah, no, just that I took school, I was there as an official, I saw people
Mhm.
run, and I think they were having a good time, so if it encompasses that, and then there's the return, makes absolute sense, but still, like, the amount is high, or if it gets us the return.
I'm also happy to remember the bit, if that's okay, because it's a lot of my work, actually, it's also arranged to work with this. So firstly, a quick note that it also includes IO and GB travel, which means that like you should take off that pay. Just as maybe not high pay, but like you should definitely take off 2,000. So it's not 15K that's being spent. Of course, the less events we have, the less we only spend. So I estimated next year we will spend less because there is not 3 or 2 flagship events, so that's not different already. But then I do really think it has a lot of value, and also maybe explain a bit of the reasoning. For example, Eon, they give us more than 100. I don't know exactly how much they give, but they give us like several tens, if not hundreds of thousands. So for us to spend maybe
500,000.
yeah. So for us to spend 1,000 on them actually seeing the things that they say, I think it's not only a good courtesy, it would be almost rude to be like, oh, by the way, this meal, yeah, you have to cover it yourself. They have to only pay for their own accommodation and their own travel. It's only based on meals, activities, and for specific partnerships, for example, with Ipsos partnership, to give a great example, it was written in that we also have to cover accommodation and travel for her to do the site visit. So this is also then money that we have to spend to get the money. So I think a lot of the time this is not money that we are choosing to spend proactively because we want to have nice big dinners, but it's almost like a deliverable that we have to this partner that is already giving us money. And we spend a small amount of money as well on the partnership partner have a lot of potential. So to give you another specific example, because you have to understand it, in The Hague we had a partner called CW, and they're interested in having a larger scale partnership, which would also be against project fund or something else. And we invited them to join in Copenhagen, actually, for them to see another international session, to see it not only in the context of the Netherlands, but also there. And in The Hague they gave, I think, 20-ish K. So if we give it to one international session, I think the potential that we see for this in the broader partnership is very big. Then we also choose, okay, we're willing to spend a bit of money on this because we think it's that makes sense in the long. I think I'm also super happy to give you examples because I also was stuck in these examples. Sorry.
We are running a bit late. I will give a question to Sophia. She was raising her placard for like 15 minutes.
It's okay, you can ask it afterwards.
Okay, thank you. Also, out of respect towards proposing entities of next items, we'll thank the IO. As always, you can talk to them, you can pick them, you can use Slack, email them. They are very much available to us all. That being said,
Thank you so much, Dario. Now we are on to the next agenda item, which we cannot see. Exactly. But just so you know, it's agenda item 6, the topic of debate on international session. This is actually a joint agenda item. Agenda items 6A by EWP Finland and 6B by EWP Poland. The proposed entities kindly agreed to join them since they made sense together, let's say. And the statement of debate for agenda item 6A is defining the responsibilities of national committees in international sessions.
Somewhere.
We'll get there. And it reads as follows. How should national committees be involved in the organizational process of international sessions? So it's more about the role of NOCs during ISs, while 6B supports structures for international sessions NOCs. A quick pause while I read this. Can someone make sure that both EWP Finland and EWP Poland have a microphone for logistics and efficiency purposes? Okay, so it reads as follows. With hosting an international session currently not being an easily justifiable venture for many national/autonomous entities,
how can the network work together to improve the exchange of knowledge, information, and best practices to reduce the barrier to entry to hosting NIS. So we'll now give the floor to the two proposing entities to explain the rationale and intended outcomes. We can start, yes, with Innovate Finland with the rationale of their topic of the day.
Wonderful. Thank you. Hi, friends. Very happy to be bringing forward this topic of debate about ISs while still being technically, arguably, sorry, UIP Spain, the last NC to host an IS. Anyway, yes, before we get any further or literally any into this TOD, I want to make it very clear that this will not be or we hope that it will not be a place for feedback about any single IS, not about Turku, not about anything else. It's also not meant for us to kind of reflect on the work of the volunteers or of Saskia or anyone else involved in the session. Please, everyone, let's keep the discussions respectful and mainly future oriented. And yeah, ideally this would serve to our liking as a space to find ways to help the NCs behind future ISs. But yes, as most of you have not hosted an IS in a while, I assume. In a nutshell, the division of work right now goes as follows. The head organizers represent the National Organizing Committee in all relevant activities, such as selection panels and leadership meetings. And they are then responsible for communicating everything that happens in these and all the relevant information to the National Committee, which is quite a lot of things because the NC, of course, is responsible for, at the end of the day, organizational matters. This makes things such as generally understanding what's going on at the session and figuring out if we need to intervene, sometimes quite difficult because I think this is cutting out, but I will try to speak very loudly instead. Yes, so basically this makes figuring out what's going on a bit more challenging because this then depends on the communication from the HOs, and HOs at ISs, such as at other sessions, can and are very busy. So in essence, in our experience, we feel that it would be beneficial to kind of shift the responsibility of the NC in a way that we kind of get, or the NC gets access to information directly. NCs take on legal liability and also financial liability in a lot of ways when taking on an IS. And we also take the risk of a lot of reputational damage, both inside the network, but especially to our external stakeholders, because when fundraising / getting patrons, that sort of thing, a lot of the time ISs are presented as kind of the best an NC can do in a way. Thus, we think that it would be important for the NC to also know what's going on as much as possible and kind of be able to take decisions in matters that could impact the NC negatively. Again, not rooting from mistrust towards anyone, but we think that it would be better to kind of reshape this system. But yeah, I pass the word on to you if you follow.
Okay, I don't think it's long, so I'm gonna skip Natalie as well. So in recent years, we've witnessed a lot of ISs. They've been good, they've been bad, and we don't really do anything about this fact. We just acknowledge that this IS is okay and this one was not. We don't really think it's necessarily a good idea because ISs are all similar and to some extent. They face the same struggles, they operate under the same mechanisms, yet the feedback is tied only to a specific event, not really to a structure connecting all of those events. And if you think about it, they all come through the same fundraising process, and they probably apply for the same grants. So they do really share a lot in common. And also, mind you, most of NOCs have no clue what they will be doing during the IS preparation process and how it looks like from the inside, just until they fully commit to organizing an IS. And honestly, it must be scary. In the long run, we hope that ISS would not be so scary, and thus they would be organized regularly and on more or less the same level. And to stress it once again, ISs are a shared responsibility of all of the BNC and NCs. So let's see how we can jointly improve ISs, their structure, their level, their transparency, especially in sharing the resources before the whole process for the NLC begins. And as Ivari mentioned, please let's keep this debate respectful and many thanks.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to the positive action plan. If I can ask both the president to be a bit about it.
Yes, sure. Very quickly, this is kind of separating the chair of national organizing committee, international committee, and organizational team, as it's done basically for us at the very least at every other session. And then also kind of set out the different responsibilities very clearly that the two parties have. Yes, that's us.
From our side, the main possible action plan, it's not super clearly defined again. This is just a topic of debate. We're just trying to find out how we can collectively improve the structural processes behind ISs and organizing, and especially when it comes to the access to information, when it comes to information exchange. So if we could focus the second round of the debate on kind of those aspects, how we can incorporate kind of structural, formalized knowledge exchanges, especially when it comes to stuff like organizational structure, fundraising efforts, in order to make the initial bidding process, the initial organizing process, a little bit less scary, is probably a good word for NCs, a little bit less experience in large scale events. That would be great. Yeah, let's keep it constructive. This is not to create divisions. This is to collectively improve something that we all benefit from at the end of the day.
Thank you very much to both opposing entities. For timing reasons, we will not be accepting statements outside of those already requested via the poll and granted in the booklet, meaning EWP the Netherlands and EWP Switzerland. Raise your placard if you still are planning on holding a statement. Amazing, EWP the Netherlands.
Okay, I don't think I require a microphone, so for now we will avoid. First of all, I will just clarify that we will mostly be focusing on the interest of time and giving a statement on EYP Finland's kind of part of the topic of debate. Thank you so much, EYP Finland, for bringing this up. I think as a recent national organizing committee, EYP the Netherlands agrees to, at least to a large extent, that there needs to be more clarity regarding NOC responsibilities and NC responsibilities. We'll see separating those two terms in the organization of ISs. I think especially vote pre and during sessions, so it would be also nice to kind of discuss and organize it, whatever kind of way we decide to take action on this. Distinguish between NC's roles pre-session also and during the session, kind of thinking about how we can clarify it in both. Yes, NCs do take a lot of financial, legal, reputational responsibility for the events. Often don't want to say without oversight, because in some ways it is that the AJOs have a lot of ownership, because often they're very experienced individuals in the network and also people who are working on the event for a period of 2 years or 3 years. So going beyond what an NC board term is, so in terms of transitioning, it would be complicated. But I do think, and EYP the Netherlands in general does think, that it would be good to have more direct communication with NC representatives, both pre-session, but particularly maybe during the session, and also clarify responsibilities to the end of, for instance, who is responsible for enforcing code of conduct during events, as right now what happens, has happened in our perspective is that there's a very multi-layered level of doing decision making on that end that kind of ends up making things a bit confusing and not the most efficient, despite the best efforts of everyone involved, of course. So yes, mostly we would like to come and support EYP Finland, and we hope to be able to continue the discussion and find ways in which we can clarify the role of NCs and separate that from that of NOCs in international sessions.
Thank you for the Netherlands, UAP Switzerland. You can deliver the statement.
So UAP Switzerland is coming on up to 10 years of not hosting IS. And the network has had a lot of difficulty finding new ISs. And we didn't know that a lot of things that were mentioned in this topic debate, so eventually and bringing that to us. Because it is very true that the responsibility of an IS going well and not going well, and mostly not going well, is attributed to the host entity. And like anything, not to debate that was not really true with the amount of input that BNC is able to give before the session, and not being involved in leadership meetings and not being involved in decision-making processes. So thank you guys for bringing this BNC meeting. We are also strongly supportive of it. And yeah, generally the mindset of attributing this fault to the NC has to change, as you have to call also that like we are all responsible for IS is going on, the BNC and IO and media, whatever. But yeah, we need to give NCs the responsibility to facilitate the exact type of NC who manage to get up here anyways. And I can't really, I mean, obviously you guys manage and other NCs also manage, but I can't imagine how it's been successfully operating with such little input by users in the past. So until the policy and the functioning of that structure is changed with the separation of the terms in the policy, UIP Switzerland will not be treated fit for
Thank you, Switzerland. Would any of the proposing entities need to respond to the statements? You don't have to, if you don't want to, but you can.
I think for the sake of time, I will thank both entities for their comments. Yeah.
Same for the Poland. Nice, very thankful. Moving on to the round of debate, they will be structured as follows. So first round will be on defining responsibilities of national committees as ISs. So tailored to UAP Finland proposal, TOD. Round 2 will be more on UAP Poland COD. And round 3 will be more general. So for round 1, do we have any points? Okay, so I first saw UAP Spain, followed by UAP Ukraine.
Okay, so I'm going to be the last one to host LIS. I think both yours was what I wanted to answer. First, the NC has liability by legal because our president, at least in our case, our president is legal liability of everything that happens. So let's say someone breaks a leg, Jordi is going to have the liability of that. Not the IO, not the HOs, just him. Also reputational for the good and the bad, whatever happens. And financials, which I think is what scares some NCs the most. Because at the end of the day, if the IS ends up losing a big chunk of money, the NC has to put it up. Not all of the times and not all of the money, but a big chunk of it comes from our annual budget, which is sometimes bearable and sometimes not, depending on how many sessions you want to do. And then something that and this is the actual point, something that I really want this to tackle is that ISS, as it has been said, go on for organizational purposes for 2 or 3 years, which means 2 or 3 different boards with 2 or 3 different board member structures, which means a lot of thinking brains that think differently and make different choices, which means, for example, for us, it has been a new board term since August, which means some of the choices being made don't sit right with us or sit right with us. And what is our power to change it or to actually do something for them?
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you, Finland and Poland, for such proposal. So our question is more of like point of information, followed by actual question. So how are those responsibilities of the parties are being regulated currently? So is it like a matter which is mentioned or regulated by the charter or by the statute of national committees or something like this? And how do you, in ideal, envision this regulation? If it makes sense, I can clarify.
I think we we will correct
We
the
have,
first part.
we have other response. By yeah.
Yeah, just to clarify, so whenever NOC is mentioned, it refers to the legal entity. The way that it works policy-wise is that the NC nominates the organizers, meaning that legally it's always the NC, always NC. However, in all of the guides, there are specific stipulations on what is to be done by whom. And it is also in the first call that we have with the HLs and the NC is also discussed. And I'll also add another point secretly on, I'm very sorry. Which is that we also, because the NCs change, we try to have a call with each NC involved. And this is also dependent sometimes on the NCs, how willing they are to take this on, but it's something that we offer so that each new NC that inherits this project gets onboarded by the constant factor, which is the IO.
Thank you for clarifying. We can take one more point for this round. I think if Azerbaijan had the placard up earlier.
But in this pressure on the board, there's no more work. Rather than they still get it because the head organizers are chosen by the board and they can their full responsibility. As already been mentioned, the reputation centers with the NC. Maybe perhaps without a reporting framework, since you're making concern of what we gathered was information gaps. Have developed a reporting framework for the neutral party to take notes and for the board to have the access to it rather than make the board facilitate every single meeting that happens, because in that case you're making them HO more rather than the header.
Thank you. We'll take EYP the Netherlands response and then we'll go back to the finance.
Thank you for EYP Azerbaijan. So I don't think what is being proposed here is that the NC should all the work. However, to an extent, yes, it is a lot of work for coordinating, quote unquote, more closely NIS than we are at the moment. Whilst also in most cases always also doing regionals and nationals. However, it's also a question of balancing work with reliability. Whilst I hope everyone that trusts the AJOs, their NC selects for ISs, it's always also a matter of like coordination with the NC budget and of ensuring that the NCs, yes, give as much ownership to ISs as possible, but also make sure to be involved in key factors like, for instance, the financials, I would say is a big one, legal compliance, all of that, to ensure that their liabilities are protected. I don't think EYP the Netherlands EYP the Netherlands does not think that just having someone pass notes around would be a sufficient way of kind of addressing this issue. Further coordination needs to be kind of put into place, but also at the same time, it does not need to be the NC is always on top of everything, going to every meeting, coordinating everything. I don't know if Finland agrees, but more so a middle term is what I understood from their.
I'm sorry, Azerbaijan promised Finland to the
Great, okay. Yes, first, we might be saying your situation is basically exactly ours. Our president, people in Finland, is liable for whatever happens at our sessions. So it is not just the NC as an organization, but it's actual people that are on the NC board. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. I think the discussion between EYP Ukraine and the IO was very thorough. We won't add anything to that, except again, the legal kind of liability that goes beyond just what is agreed between the network and the NC. And then to Azerbaijan, we fully agree with what EYP the Netherlands said. So again, not much to add there, but again, we don't think that kind of giving the NC more information would necessarily give them more. It would be a bit more work, yes. However, that is work that we can take on, and that is also work that, since NC boards are, as was brought up, I think that lasts for a year, that can then be taken into account in the structure of the board. So that's something we kind of did with EYP Finland, where we kind of allocated the responsibilities for the IS so that, and then kind of balance the portfolios through that. But yes, so basically, as the Netherlands said, we don't believe that it would be an unreasonable amount of extra time we won't be making the board a show. Thanks.
Thank you. And if you want the conversation to proceed, you can do so in the Slack under the thread of this proposal. Now we'll move to the second debate round on support structures for international sessions, NOCs. We have already 1 point by UAP Azerbaijan.
The outline, what I do with sort of blockchain within the breakdown is the attention that is paid to not pre-session issues, not during session, kind of facilitation and management, but also the issues that are left after the session. It's not ended. In our case, despite otherwise being held 2 years ago now, it is still the responsibility of the executive boards that have not been involved in the organization, I guess, to kind of sort out everything that is left over from the session. And that is a huge sort of setback, and also a heavy weight on our shoulders, as well as needs for example, this year, most of the board members are new and have not been, so I just suppose that kind of would then
Thank you. We can take 2 more points in case there's any. Then the governing body, your take point.
Well, first of all, hi everyone officially from my side. Sorry for being an hour late. Veda, nice to meet you all. IS portfolio, developers team portfolio. Yes, anyways, international sessions, we welcome the topic of debate. We think it's very important part of our network and a very integral part of the network. And we're very happy how this debate is going because it's very constructive, 1. 2, it's also a lot of new inputs. One thing that the governing body is currently working on is standardizing the reports of international sessions. This would fall somewhere between round 1 and round 2 because it's also responsibilities, but it's also support structures. And this would be how to pass on the knowledge from international sessions after they finish. So currently the GB reports after international sessions have been modest, to say the least. So now we're developing a new template for future governing bodies, should they wish to use it, so that they can structure the output and the feedback from the international sessions in a better way. This will not only enable the future NOCs to better organize an international session, but also for all members to see how an international session went, what were the key takeaways, what are the improvement points, what did we learn from it. So this is one of the efforts that we're making in further improving this kind of accountability, but also reporting of international sessions. But we welcome all the points and then writing everything down and bringing it to the GP.
Thank you. Thank you also for the spoilers for the GP updates for tomorrow. Okay, if there's no more points, we can go back to UAP Poland.
Those points, I do think that UAP as a headline points was mostly answered by I just wanted to leave a comment also for outside that something like that is exactly something that we as UAP players were looking for, as having improved that access to information, having more structured reporting mechanisms is definitely a step in the right direction. It gives the network an opportunity for a deeper reflection on the past experiences that we've had, on the past failures, but also the past successes. And that in turn gives future potential NOCs and really anyone involved or anyone interested more information to begin with, more information to start with, more information to digest in order to have a more informed decision-making process, especially in those turbulent early stages of undertaking something as big as an IS. So thank you for that. Definitely a step in the right direction, and hope to see more of it as a network in general in that direction.
Thank you for such a constructive and productive round. Very nice. We're opening the third and general round. So both proposing entities will be responding to this. We have UAP Slovenia, which will be followed by UAP Luxembourg.
Since legal liability has been such a big topic and something that's concerning a NOCs, recent NOCs, potential future NOCs. Is there any way of the IO, since it's a legal organization, I know based in Germany, so it could be a little bit difficult to cross-border, but to share that legal responsibility or some of the liability. I'm not asking for a concrete answer, but like something that can be explored through the partnership agreement that all NOCs have to sign. Is there any way that this could be a shared burden? Because I understand that there, of course, for the side of the NOC, there is the legal aspect, but also for the IO to support on that, but also to protect itself in some way, because it would be very bad if the president has to take care of something that broke a leg and the IO just cannot do anything as well. So is there any way that the IO itself can put itself forward, and is there any interest as well?
I think I can take this as a direct response. Okay, thank you. So legally this is not possible because legal jurisdiction in every country is different, and it's very difficult to have one organization liable that is not in that jurisdiction, not legally registered, because we're also not legally bound. We are bound by our charter. So you are not my father, you are like more like a sister. So in that sorry, in my case it makes sense. What I think we do already is that we provide a code of conduct that tries to like basically stop a lot of faults. If the delegate breaks their leg, it's their own fault and they are legally liable because it's in the code of conduct. We have a lot of different stipulations based on the experience that we have that are integrated into this code of conduct. In addition, if there is any legal trouble, we do support. I don't want to name any specific examples, but there are examples in which the IO has provided support post-session to support in legal difficulties that existed for the NFC. This is not in the partnership agreement, but I would be happy to include it because this is, I think, a very natural. Of course, we want to do this. I think that's. I hope no one questions that. At the IOA, we have the desire to support the NOC in whatever way possible. I think this clarifies this, so I'll keep it direct.
Thank you.
This is coming a bit, to some extent, also from maybe a lack of knowledge of how it works in the network, but about like the use of mandates and like a written down document with the responsibilities. This is kind of also the question of if it's being used, if that is what potentially also an idea that is being sought out, that between the MC that is the legal, let's say, representatives and then the organizers, if one already makes that division. Is that something that would be helping, that something is written down clearly in a document that is signed at the beginning when they are given those responsibilities? Or would you say that this amount of paperwork restricts then the transition within the potential changes to the board?
We have a direct response from Sergey.
Yeah, I mean, it's something to add on, since we were talking about how there's no codified per se difference between an NOC and an organizing team. From an NC perspective, just like you have a contract between an IO and an NC, write down a contract between your head organizers and you. And that is how, in one, I would say, one perspective is how you save yourself per se without having to have, he said, she said situations between your own organizing team and yourself as an MC. And that is one of the ways that you, I would say, sort of share the legal liability, not completely, but it is also something that I really kind of promote to everyone to make a look up to, and it does help a lot, really, that the legal stress aside from home.
We have two direct responses, but UK was first.
The other thing that I'd like to add to that is the discussion of codifying the practices that we have here. Does that actually take into account different organizational structures within NCs and countries? Because saying that some NCs should do this and the HO should do this, that will differ session to session. And that's not to say that we shouldn't codify it, it's just how far should we codify it? And is this perhaps something that, like Yopi Sergey said, is something that actually is just we need to have a discussion at the beginning of each IS?
Thank you. We won't be taking any more direct responses. We will go back to the proposing entities, but we really strongly encourage you to continue the conversation in Slack.
Or in person.
Or in person, yeah, just talk to each other. Whoever wants to respond.
I think take this since it felt like it was more relevant to our part of the deal. So yes, again, I feel like the GP covered what was asked by Azerbaijan, so we will get right into legal liability, which is a wonderful world that I am not deeply knowledgeable in, and I think most people here are not either. I think the thing is, we do get a lot of support from the IO in a lot of different ways. And I think, and we're very grateful for that as well. I think, as Saskia said, it's not possible. And this also comes to the part about mandates, kind of creating contracts with our head organizers about them taking on the responsibility of sessions is not something we want to do because they are volunteers. And we want there to be a relationship of trust, but then also a relationship of oversight from BNC to kind of serve as that. Also, partly not a thing we can do in some areas because the session is still an event organized by EYP Finland or whatever the NC is, and not by the head organizers. There's a bunch of law related to this that I won't get into because I'm not deeply familiar with it again, but mandates are not really something we can do, and it's also not necessarily something we want to do, partly because of what was brought up about the fact that different boards come throughout the process of kind of the IS organization. Also kind of touches upon what EYP UK asked, where kind of we want, ideally each board would be able to kind of shape that relationship to some extent, but then for there to be some guidelines as a starting point, because HOs are usually, well, not necessarily usually, but a lot of the time they are ex-members of the NC. They are highly experienced. So it can be kind of difficult for an NC that's maybe less experienced than them to kind of step onto their turf in a way and kind of try to set that relationship each year without any sort of point of reference. Start from this is also kind of touches upon what was proposed by EYP Poland, where kind of the knowledge sharing isn't there. We had a very productive call with EYP Netherlands before Turku, kind of discussing what the role of an NC is, and then of course a very productive call with Satya as well. But I think through more of those calls, this could also then be deepened. And I think that addresses everything, I hope.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add with people?
No, I believe no. I think you very good. And ultimately a way to already more known to those who might be super familiar with them. So it's the main report. But otherwise, thank you for debate on this.
Thank you. We have also, which is not the end, we have received a formal request by EYP Finland to call for an informal vote. And the statement to be voted upon is the following. Would you support the adoption of a policy separating the responsibilities of national committees and organizational teams at international sessions? I hear placard noises still. And establishing guidelines for the separation of work as brought forward by EYP Finland. Reminder, for an informal vote, you do not need your NC placard, just the green, just the color. Okay. In favor?
Oh, it's fine.
Point of order by EYP Finland.
I have a question to Finland. So basically, like, what you're proposing is to do is just like unified practice within the charter.
Not necessarily the charter. I
But
think.
how do you envision that? Like, could you elaborate a little bit on that? Sorry for taking time.
I think a good starting point is really just in relevant policies and then also in the contracts. I believe kind of the separation of NOC to NC org is a good starting point. And then kind of for the guidelines, I again don't think those need to be at the level of the charter. I think that's excessive. That's maybe a bit excessive. But kind of for the creation of those kinds of guidelines and yes.
Okay, so in favor? Give Adrian a moment to count.
No, it's fine. I found the others.
Okay, against? 1, 2, 3. Abstentions? 1. Okay, we have the math down.
Yes.
Nice. Now we're okay, first of all, thank you so much. This was very constructive and productive. Once again, let's keep it for the whole weekend. Now, finally, our lovely data team is here to deliver the update. You can have 5.
I don't need it.
Okay.
You go to the station. Yes. Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Gabriel. I am one of the chairs of the Safecore team. Grace is here with me. She is also part of the ICST, the complaints mechanism, and we're here to talk about what we've done this year, a couple of numbers, and I've been asked to keep it very short, so I will. Okay. Can you? Yeah. Okay, so for those of you that are not aware, the Safecore team is responsible for guarding and improving both the network-wide sessions and any events. We're training ESPs and NSCs. We're also supporting NCs. We're doing essentially anything that's welfare related goes through us. That's the Safecore team as a whole, and the ICSD, aka the complaints team, that is a subgroup. We'll be presenting that a bit more in detail later. Just to make it very clear, the ICSD has existed before, but this year we have made a split between the Safecore team general and the complaints team. So we're still called the Safecore team, except now we work in 2 separate groups. So it's 6 people for Safecore team general and 6 people for the complaints team. So the complaints team works with very confidential cases. We're usually receiving reports and complaints from people like you, or people from NCs. Sometimes we receive from delegates, sometimes we receive from NCs. And okay, we can move on. Right. Because of the split that we've made at the beginning of the year, we thought that one of the things that we anticipated is that we might get overworked in the teams that we have. And indeed, this has happened, which is why we've opened the possibility of having these midterm applications, which we did last month. Last month, we opened on the 22nd of September, applications for 1 member of each team. So 1 member for Safecore team general and 1 member for the complaints team. And now we have 2 extra members. There's been a couple of issues with these applications. So for instance, we haven't had suitable applications for the ISCST, for the complaints team. In fact, the entire complaints team, apart from myself and Yerem being part of the governing body, have been invited. This has been the case. This is an issue. We would very much like to receive applications of suitable participants. So we're looking into, let's say, increasing involvement and interest in the complaints team. And in general, just a lack of applications in general, both for Safecore team and for ESP hosts for ISs. So is the role too intimidating? Maybe, probably. We're investigating this. This is why we're working quite closely with the ESPs of Malaga, and we're planning to work very closely with ESPs in the future of ISs. Okay, let's talk teams. Yes. So for the general Safecore team, Eva Kafuro is the chair. That is the chair of the Safecore team. She's mostly responsible for network-wide awareness and development of training content for all participants at any events. You can contact her at that email address. And myself, I'm the chair responsible for the complaints team, and I'm also providing support for NSPs and NCs across the network. We've had a lot of stuff involving NCs that we've been able to help with. So, okay, to move on. Those are our teams. You can do the other one. Okay, these are our teams. The names written in green have been the 2 newest members that we have added last month. So Sena from Azerbaijan, thank you, Azerbaijan. And Kaina from Switzerland, thank you, Switzerland, for providing these wonderful people. They've already been very much involved in the project that we've been doing. They're already probably overworked. That's okay. We can move forward. So let's talk events. So far we've had 2 events, and we're planning for 2 more in the very near future. So in June, we've had the online ESP training. And in July, we've had the online NSP training. I'm not going to dwell on these too much,
But I think a couple of very interesting remarks to see is that we've received 84 applications of trainings for the NSP training, which is way more than the number of ESPs we have in the network. So we've also received quite a few applications for the ESP trainings. So from this, we've regarded that ESP trainings in general are very much sought after. Okay, and for the next, what's upcoming? Yeah. We have another online ESP training that is happening in December. Keep an eye out for that, and please, at least if you could, every BNC send 2 members to this training. And the physical NSP training, the in-person training that is happening in Greece, thank you very much, UIP Greece, is happening in Piraeus. I believe, I've been told Piraeus is close to Athens.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So this is going to be happening in February, between the 13th and 15th of February. The calls for trainers and ESPs are open right now. Please apply as a trainer, or if you know people that are involved or that have something to deliver and to help us, please have them apply, let them know. We're trying to let you know, but I mean, I'm going to mention it in every discussion I have in this weekend anyway. Okay. I'll let Grace talk about the complaints mechanism.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to give you a very brief overview of how the complaints mechanism works, how we deal with every case that we've gotten so far. Essentially, a complainant contacts us and submits a form. You can do that either by like the safe@uyp.org email address, or you can find every single one of our email addresses on members platform. Apparently, when you go to the wiki section, then you go to like welfare and safety, you find all our emails. I just found this out myself like 2 weeks ago. Then we contact the complainant, the respondent, and any indicated third party or witnesses that may be privy to the event that has happened. We get their perspective, their idea on what has happened in the event. Then we write an anonymized incident report that we then send sometimes to the general team for input and suggestions. However, that is also a step that maybe skipped sometimes. Then we send this anonymized incident to the parties. We give them the opportunity to appeal to anything, to add their own suggestions and comments should they have any. After that is done, we send an anonymized report to the GP. They have their input and comments, and they decide on the proposed measures. After that is done, we communicate the decision taken to the parties, and we take the further implementation steps, which I will be explaining in a bit. Next slide. Okay, basically, what we want to achieve by this, we don't want to act in a retributive manner to anyone. Our entire goal is to put in educational measures. So keeping in mind that everyone keeps feeling safe in further sessions. We don't want to be the judges to anyone's actions, essentially. However, we do have to be sometimes. Next one explains it a bit better. So we have these are some common measures that we may take as a team. So we may have people engage with educational matters. They may have to talk to us before they take on certain roles. They may be prohibited from contacting. That is always a thing. They can't contact the complainants during the investigation. They may be prohibited from attending the same events. They may be prohibited from taking on leadership roles, or be prohibited from taking MC board member roles and stuff like that. However, the entire thing is that we want to propose measures to assist this person in, should they wish to continue to do so, to be a more active and more mindful person in EYP, and to keep in mind that everyone's welfare is ensured. Next one. Okay, something that is very, very important is that we will never communicate information to NCs about complaints and procedures. Our entire team works under very strict confidentiality, and it's very important that everyone understands that. We do not go about spreading information about a case until it's completed, essentially. The complainants, as well as the respondents, as well as witnesses, also have a duty to upkeep. They cannot spread information about an ongoing investigation. It's really important because this has also proven to be a problem from time to time. People have been contacted about an ongoing case, and they decide to spread the information, which becomes a bigger problem. Also, an external challenge to our working is a lack of understanding of the reporting system. People usually go to ESPs, and they may go to NSPs, and they may decide to reach over, to contact certain people, and until the case reaches us, it may take a long while, or it may completely demotivate a person to submit a formal complaint. Gossip culture and blacklist, this is a very big issue in UIP. Gossip culture, unfortunately, is a very big quote-unquote culture. People love spreading information, whether it be false or true. Usually it is false, and they do not think that what some words may do to some people's welfare. Can we go? Okay, another one. Yeah, so don't gossip is essentially the one thing I'm trying to say here. Okay, so some numbers that are very important. These are some outdated numbers. These are from September. We have surpassed the number of cases, whether it be reports or complaints from 2023, as well as the number of complaints from 2022. This is not to say that more things have been happening. It's very important to highlight that what we want to show by these numbers is that people have started trusting us more, and they're believing in more actions that have been taken. And they're also very important to note is that they are having more information being spread out. A lot of people did not know about the complaints mechanism or how it worked. And the good thing that we see by these numbers is that people are getting more informed and they're putting more trust in our team. Ever since September, we've gotten 5 new cases and we've resolved 3 more than the numbers you have here. No, you can go, it's fine. Some concerns, people like the victims of said cases or like whistleblowers, they're very afraid of retaliation. They think that people will judge them or will as I said, they will blacklist them or spread gossip about them should they come forward with a case. It's a very big concern, and it really disencourages people from making a complaint. The IRCST is contacted not after the event directly. What we mean to say by this is that we have started investigating cases 4 or 5 months after the event has happened, which could mean a lot of things. It could be people don't really know that they could make a complaint, or they didn't trust us enough. A lot of reasons, or they may have been told by certain people to not make that complaint. Some cases that are reached us are of serious nature, harder to process, take more time. It really depends on what the case is. A lot of witnesses to interview, which longens the process, and this also really makes people think if a certain case is taking too much time, that it may not be resolved. However, we're just here to tell everyone and to inform everyone that every case that we take on will be completed, regardless of the time it takes, and regardless of the people we have to interview. It's just really important to note that more witnesses, more respondents, or more people complaining just mean a longer process. It does not mean that it will not be taken seriously or that it will not be handled correctly. Confidentiality breaches, I also mentioned this a bit before, from external parties. A lot of people involved in these investigations tend to spread information, or even though we very specifically tell them that everything is under confidentiality. However, we can't really force anyone to not say anything. We can just really encourage people to please abide by the rules of our investigations. Then the future outlooks, we're kindly asking everyone here to use the existing systems and update the NSP contact information. We know that a lot of NCs are going through transition period right now, and it's really important to update any information should you change it. Yes. We really want you guys to ensure there's an evaluation given to the leadership members and officials who had safety concerns after the event is over. Send at least 2 members to the ESP training, please, for improved understanding of how the entire safety and welfare works. And remind people to fill out the event evaluation for after each event. So the ESPs of a session should fill out the ESP form until 8 weeks after the session is done. And please don't be afraid to reach out. We take everything very seriously. You can trust us, and we hope to help you in future cases. That's me. I'll bring it over to David.
Yes. As a general remark for 2025, the SafeCode teams, or both parts of the SafeCode team, the SafeCode in general and the complaints mechanism, have both aimed to have a more transparent outlook. Like, we're trying to be as transparent as possible towards you, the network, and we're also trying to build trust, or rather rebuild trust. Since this was something that we've noticed that has been lost in previous years, and we're trying very much to rebuild on that as much as possible. Okay, let's talk more numbers. So for those of you that are unaware, the ESP event evaluation form is something that we've started to do since the last BNC. So essentially what this is a survey for ESPs at all events, so not just sessions. This includes absolutely all events, including this event. Myself and Grace will have to do this ESP event evaluation form and evaluate the BNCM. So after the 8 weeks from the event happening, the ESPs have to fill this in just to tell us what is happening in the event so we can identify some patterns, especially if we can identify some patterns within some instances, which we have, and we're not going to tell you about them right now. Okay, we have received 98 answers so far, which is not terrible considering this has been only for a couple of months, but this is out of a pool of 200 something events, so not great. We're still looking for ESPs to fill in this ESP event evaluation form, so we're mentioning it right now, so that if your NSPs are not aware about it, or that if you are not aware about this ESP event evaluation form, now you are, and you should tell your NSPs and you should tell your ESPs as well. Okay, also quite important, from this BNC onwards, you will be receiving more emails from either me or Irem, whatever, about this ESP event evaluation form and the fact that you have not completed it and you have to. Okay, let's go. So, a couple of very important numbers. I'm not going to go through all of these, but in general, they are pretty good overall. So I think some of the very interesting ones for me, ESPs feel very confident with the ones that have completed this. Feel very confident on taking the role, so 4.1 out of 5, which I believe amounts to like 81, 82%. And most interestingly, only 2 out of 98 ESPs that have completed this survey did not know they were able to contact the NSP. That's pretty good. Obviously, we're aiming for the number to be 0, but maybe that's not achievable. I do believe 2 out of 98 is fairly decent. Okay, move on. So just a few general remarks about the ESP event evaluation form and just in general practices about ESPing and safety. We do advise you in general to consider opening ESP calls earlier for your sessions. And this is not something that you have to do, but we do recommend doing is to include ESPs in your leadership meetings at sessions. This is something that we try to do in Turku, and this has been pretty highly regarded, like the feedback has been pretty good. Obviously, this is happening in a bunch of sessions. This is not something that just happened in Turku, but we know that this is not happening everywhere. We're asking you to consider it. Again, it's not a recommendation, but please consider it. Thank you. Okay. I believe that's it.
So do you have any questions?
We can move on to the question time.
Okay, we already have 2 questions, one from EYP Sweden and then we will go.
Yes, since complaint processes can sometimes be longer, which means that there might be a shift in members of the report support team. Because of confidentiality reasons, the new members might not have access to previous complaints. And while confidentiality is very important, is there anything that can be done to make sure the complaint resolution process is still efficient so that people don't feel like the process is starting from scratch if there's a new member of the team handling their complaints?
Okay, so the duration of a complaint is something that we have actually been focusing on a lot in this term because we know that this has been an issue in the past. It's still not perfect. Some cases still take up to a couple of months. But what you mentioned, the new people that have been added in, so for instance, Karina joined this last month, everyone is asked to sign the same NDA and have an onboarding process. She has had an onboarding process with me, but she has access to the information that we have worked with in the past. If anyone starts working on a case and that case has history, we have internal processes of onboarding whatever member joins so that they are as familiar as possible with the case. This is so we can, as much as possible, reduce the time that we spend on our complaint, but like, then again, this is something that varies a lot. And some cases are very volatile, especially if they involve multiple people, as I said. I hope that answered your question. Okay.
My question would be about ESP evaluation form that you talked about before. So my point is, how do we know when our ESP evaluation has to have, for example, we are thinking about others,
but and we reminded ourselves, our ESPs, to fill out the form. But yeah, it's not always easy to keep track of what's being done after the event, also because not everybody is always responsive on Slack or other communication means. And so we just wait for you to confirm or see if more reminders are coming, or is there a way to track what's missing?
At the moment, yes, you would wait for us to notify you. So because this is a very new system, we're not exactly sure if this is a trend that will happen in the future, right? So if we have under 50% of events sending in ESP forms, then we'll have to look into something else. But at the moment, right now, you would wait for us to tell you, hey, it's been 8 months since this event, you haven't filled it in, please do so. We'll see in the future. This may change.
One last very good question by the Belgium.
And then we have questions about budget after leadership, after executive leadership. Would you then suggest that it happens in also?
Do you have a reasoning as to why it happens after? Just curious. There's no issue. Do you have a reasoning as to why it happens after? No, there's nothing wrong with that. We don't recommend that it happens after leadership. It's fine. It's perfectly okay as long as, you know, your sessions are meeting safety standards and your ESPs are included in teams in general and in the, you know, symbiosis of the officials at the session, then it's completely okay. If this, what you're saying, is causing problems in the safety sphere of Belgium, then yeah, maybe that's something we can look at. But if it's not causing any issues, then I don't see where we would change it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, not only for your amazing presentation, but also for the very important working group. We will now move on to workshop, but first we have announcements by the IO about dinner.
There is no.
There is no.
No organizing related IO.
Tom is here.
Tommy.
This time I'm not even breaking anything. Okay, guys, hi, I'm Sean again. I hope you had a great day. So dinner time is shortly after some workshops, I believe. So when you are going to have dinner, and which you should, by the reception, there's a set of red doors which you can go through to sit in the canteen. While you're having dinner, Anlu and I, should I say, will be handing out your room keys at the registration desk. One of us will be there. If it is really busy and there's a lot of people waiting, just come back later. We'll be there until about 8 o'clock, so there's no real stress. That being said, the buffet also closes at 8 p.m. Please feed yourself. If you don't, we can't help you, which is a bummer because no one likes being hungry. On another more happy and fun note, the quiz is tonight. It's going to be super fun, but it's also super optional. So if you have had a very long travel day, please don't feel like you need to be there. But hey, I'm emceeing, so it starts at 8:30. Yeah. If you would like some beers, like beverages this evening, the bar is open. Just outside the room, I think, at some point. And also you can buy some beers at the reception. Of course, as per usual, the 15% rule is in effect. Please stick to it. We all know that things can go wrong if it is not. Beyond that, when you're leaving here this evening, please take some time to tidy up a bit. It will save us a lot of hassle getting ready again in the morning. Please make sure to put all your things back in your NC envelope. Yeah, that's it. Have a great evening, and I hope to see you at the Quizalicious quiz.
Okay, we also have the workshop allocation. If you can remain for a moment to explain the word the room chat. So if your name is in Data Protection 101, you are here with me. You don't need to move. If your name is in Beyond Awareness, Understanding Rights and Responding to Injustice with Nadia, where is that? She's already there. Okay. No, he's there actually. Follow Nadia. Inshallah, yeah. And If you are going with Igor, good luck.
The rooms are
Even the luggage will be soon.
the rooms. The rooms are at your left when you exit towards the luggage room. Don't pack the envelopes. Come on. Yes. Got it.
What should be said? Hold on. What should be said?
No, okay. That's not.
Ah, yeah. Via, via, ciao, 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 ciao.